Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another Market Mates episode. I'm midway going up through my desk there. That was a great transition by me. Good timing. Welcome back. It's Friday morning for us here in Australia. It's obviously Thursday night for our friends over in the UK, in Europe, and obviously in America. It's coming into the Thursday evening. We got another special guest. We got another NFT founder, co-founder, obviously, insight from Chimpers. We're obviously super happy to have our second NFT founder in a week, Craig, after having Figgy from Yuga last week. And we have another founder, which we'll talk about later in the show, joining us next week on the show here at Market Mate. So, guys, if you love NFTs, I mean, yesterday, Craig, our whole show was supposed to be about macro and what's happening in the world with stocks and all that sort of stuff. And we didn't even get to it because we were just talking about NFTs the whole time. So I love to see that, which is great. But Inside, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you, mate? How's things?
Yeah, no, perfectly great on my side. Appreciate you having me on. Excited to dive in. And as I said, like just before we was on air, like you guys have been crushing it. Like love seeing you guys pick up the apes and just, like you guys are in your element. And like you said, like perfect timing. NFTs are picking up momentum. So very, very excited to chat Chimpers. Appreciate it.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome, mate. Thanks so much for the feedback. It's always nice to hear that other people are appreciating the show. That always makes us happy because at the end of the day, a lot of the time, like a massive shout out to chat who do join us. But I mean, sometimes you don't get feedback that often. So it is nice to hear words like that. So we do appreciate that. Craig, mate, how are you feeling this fine Friday morning? Still recovering from our late Wednesday night session in Brisbane up at that crypto event. How are you today, mate?
I'm good, man. I'm still a bit tired though, man. Maybe it's my age, but I feel like I sort of jet lag. I was wrecked yesterday, dude. I was so wrecked. It must be the social aspect of it, but talking to so many people and getting so many micro conversations in over a 3-hour period. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm out of practice seeing people face to face.
I think I was too. It was the first time I'd been to an event for a while too.
So yeah, I'm a bit like I'm good, but let's put it this way. I'm glad it's Friday and I'm glad we're ending with a banger with insight. That's for me really cool. So I'm super. So even though I'm a bit tired, I was still stoked to get him on. I was like, oh well, at least we're ending the week with a great chat with a good NFT project. So
100%. All right, well, we'll dive straight in. So talk to us a little bit about who NFT Insight is and obviously where did the Chimpers idea sort of initiate from?
Yeah, definitely. So it all kicked off in 2021 with myself and Chimpers, both twin brothers. He obviously is an artist, pixel artist, illustrator, animator, and it was during university where he had been building a YouTube channel community, like 40,000 subscribers, teaching people how to use Photoshop and pixel art. And he was like heavy on the gaming sports sort of scene, like esports, creating like stream packages for big gamers like Tfue, Pokemon, FaZe Clan.
Okay. Yeah, sick.
Yeah, so he was in that sort of whole realm of like growing his like audience on there as a creator. And that was like 2021, like on the tail end of it. 2020. And he stumbled across NFTs like just by chance on X. Like some of his artist friends was talking about it. And that was like his gateway into like sort of entering this sort of like new world. And straight away he like got involved, like minting artworks, like Foundation, unfortunately has now deprecated. But that whole like sort of art circle early on in 2021. And for myself, like we just graduated from university. I studied English language and was looking for graduate roles. And I was just being observant of like what was going on because like Chimpers had gone from YouTube to like this NFT world where suddenly his artworks are minting, like getting bids by like crazy collectors, and like for the first time like he's being paid for his work that is his own independent sort of work. So I think for everyone at that time it was like quite mind-boggling that like there's this whole like new playground. And for me, I was observing. So as a twin brother does, like I was supporting, I set up my own X account and was like, I'm just going to like see what's going on here, to be honest. And I just got pulled in like really deeply because Chimpers was of course creating art, but he was joining communities, like minting all sorts of like early collections, joined of course like Bored Apes early on as well. And
Let's go.
I was just this sort of like observant on the sidelines, and just really enjoyed getting to know like what was going on in NFTs. And I set up a Substack newsletter because I thought, why not? I've just graduated in English language and, you know, put some of my writing skills to the test. And it became a passion and like, you know, real drive for me to start building my own personal like creative. So I started interviewing teams, artists and founders, and yeah, just, you know, going, you know, head first into the space helped me grow my account. And naturally, Chimpers and I just grew closer together, being in the space all the time. And, you know, he was becoming more reputable as an artist. He was working on all sorts of projects, including Nouns with Gremplin, Punk 4156. That was his like first real gig at creating a character collection with those guys. But ultimately, what he wanted to do was create his own character IP. And that's where we joined forces, really. I've always been passionate about community, and so is he. So it just was like a perfect sort of, yeah, like coming together. And it did all start with the Bored Ape community and like the Bored Ape Chronicles. But yeah, that's sort of how I got into the space, really, as a sort of consequence of Chimpers and like his journey.
That's so cool. I like, oh, dude, it's actually so incredibly exciting listening back to like people's entry into like the ecosystem. And I love hearing it because I was totally different. Like I'm fully pledged trader, right? So mine was much more about looking at charts, looking at alpha, finding early or altcoins, all these sorts of things. I love listening to the other side of it, art or building or writing. Like that's like Zeneca, our good friend Zeneca. He's very similar, like loves to write, right? Has a newsletter that's massive across the world, right? So it's always so interesting hearing your story around that. And I just had a look at Timper's art, and dude, it just slaps. I remember seeing it ages ago, like years ago, I remember. And yeah, it's just so, it's really nice. So I love hearing that. So how did Chimpers really start from that? Like, how did you take it from obviously the newsletter and obviously the art and sort of think of an NFT project?
Yeah, definitely. So we obviously had joined the Bored Ape community early, and that's where it all sort of stemmed from. So Timpers and his digital identity like was centered around his Bored Ape at the time. And for him, like he was creating artworks, he was creating, you know, all sorts of fun things. And he decided that he'd make this homage artwork dedicated to the Bored Apes in early like 2021, like shortly after Mint. And that gained a lot of traction, gained a lot of hype. It was like the first time that apes were seeing their own like JPEGs inserted into like a world of storytelling. And naturally people wanted more, so it became a series. And that's where I joined him to like help with the storytelling, building community. And it was a 6-part artwork series, like with 100 editions. So it was like a very small, tight-knit circle community. But the really cool thing about it was that although, you know, it was a derivative artwork series, it allowed us to like embrace community building, like just like the early innings of like what NFT projects were, and obviously getting that sort of like understanding from other projects that launched early on, like how the playbook was being written and what worked, what didn't. So it was like this little sandbox for us to obviously create this artwork series around a brand that we fell in love with and build, you know, fun gamification story. But at the same time, it was almost like this incubation period whereby, you know, ultimately Timpers always wanted to create his own character IP. And it was like a learning period for us to see what worked. And when that series did come to a conclusion, you know, the 6 sort of episodes was classified as a full set. And the full set holders received this Diamond Fleece NFT. And I don't know if you remember it, but it was this sort of artifact in our ecosystem, and you could actually burn it in this experience that revealed a one-of-one Genesis Chimpers. And they're like the 100 one-of-ones that predicated the main collection of Chimpers, the heroes, the villains, the anchors of the world that we was going on to build. But yeah, that really came from something quite random. Like when that Chronicle series around the apes ended, it was like, well, what character do we make? Like there's all sorts of like animal JPEGs like floating around in 2021. And because there was that like affinity to the apes, it felt right to like go with chimps, and like that sort of like connection. But also it was just random because Chimpers was like, what could the name be? And Chimpers rhymed with timbers, so that's where it came from.
There we go.
I was going to ask
Yeah.
that. I was going to ask that. Yeah.
Yeah, it came from something silly like that, but everybody was hungry to see like Timpers create his own collection. And I think for us, we had always been really intentional. Like we'd taken small, like slow steps to build the community and really nurture it. And the same thing applied when, you know, we went on to build Chimpers. Like it was half the supply of like all of the collections. It was, you know, something that felt like was quite conservative in that respect, because we felt like we really wanted to give the attention that we felt like we could give to the community. And yeah, that's sort of how it was birthed, really. And it was that tail end of, you know, 2022 in May, when, you know, next sort of from there was the bear market and, you know, all of the disastrous things that came after. So it was quite, you know, terrible timing, but at the same time, it was one of those projects that launched that did capture, you know, that tail end of like the 2021 euphoria. And, you know, we was sort of lucky in that respect as well.
Yeah. No, timing is everything. And I mean, honestly, like it seems like you kind of fit it in really nicely, and it kind of came up organically. It wasn't like you tried to just push it out because you wanted to like either make money or just kind of get a collection out there. It kind of just naturally happened. And that's always the best story. And that's probably why like your community is so strong. And that's probably why you're still talking to us today about what you're building and what's happening. I've just seen Adam as well. Adam's just been on a heater. We're hoping to hopefully get him on the show soon, Craig, but he bought a diamond fleece. When was this? A couple of weeks ago, I think. Yeah, literally
Really?
the start of April, he bought one.
He did.
Two that remained untouched. That's really cool to see Adam going back and literally just basically saying what you said, Inside, is for those that don't know, this is one of the most important artifacts in the Chimpers ecosystem. So I love seeing one of the most prominent NFT collectors picking up some of the like just obviously the grails in the ape ecosystem, but also like the grails as all like part of all of the different NFT ecosystems. So that's really cool to see, and him proliferating that across the timeline. Craig, I'll handball over to you, mate.
Yeah, I thought a good thing that actually Insight brought up with us just prior to jumping on stream, and you sort of touched it on then, was you guys obviously came after the first wave of NFTs. So you obviously had the big 21 hype when lots were minting and they were starting to send, and lots of people were finding NFTs, myself included. And then you guys minted in 22, did you say? So you were just after that initial wave. How did you guys... And you mentioned that the timing was, I guess, not as ideal as 21. How did you guys find being the second wave of NFTs? What were the challenges there, and how did you guys sort of navigate that to sort of, I guess, still be around now? Because that's quite a challenge, because there's a lot of projects in my wallet, man, from 21, 22 that are dead. Like I don't even think I can sell this stuff in a wallet of mine. It's a cemetery of, I don't even know what I was thinking when I look at some of those NFTs. But back to the question, yeah, how did you guys find that time, and how have you sort of navigated to still be relevant today?
Yeah, no, that it's definitely not been easy. I think like I don't envy like all the projects and founders that have been in the space. Like it's tough, like especially like garnering attention and keeping it, like sustaining it is like a whole nother sort of you know, thing in itself. So for us, like obviously it was typical because we launched and, you know, the FTX stuff happened, you know, royalties sort of dissipated.
Yeah.
There was the whole sort of era of Blur versus OpenSea and marketplaces, and that whole sort of you know, destruction of what everybody came to love early on, which was the fundamentals, the small things around collecting, rarity, you know, that whole sort of element of ownership just became subdued to, you know, flaws, and all of that sort of stuff made it really tricky to navigate, because it was almost like, well, what matters? And I think at that point in time as well, I think the space had risen to a point where expectations were just so extraordinary, like in terms of, you know, every team was being pressured because of the circumstance and the expectations of that 2021 euphoria, that everything had to be bigger, ecosystems had to be more expansive, every announcement and partnership had to be bigger than the last. And it was all sort of a, you know, that in itself was like quite difficult to navigate, because it almost makes it, really hard to build something organic. And for us, that was the biggest thing, because amidst all of that stuff, small Chimpers, like this organic, community-driven collection, had to straddle with, like, how do we start to get attention? And for us, we definitely was just learning a lot in the first year, like leaning in on experiences, culture, community, like all of the usual stuff that, really fosters close connection and bonds with the community. So that first year was about establishing the foundations, and making sure that the community felt connected. But keeping that and sustaining that, as I said, was like really difficult, because ultimately floor price is the biggest thing, and I think all the floor prices at that point was just sort of going down, and that is in itself something hard to straddle with, because you're figuring things out. But for us, we obviously knew that we couldn't have that be the selling point for Chimpers alone. Community, culture, and art, like the sort of early innings of the project, we had to like expand outwards and look at how do we grow beyond the bubble and take Chimpers to a multimedia brand. And that obviously means going multi-platform, different social medias, and building fandom that is beyond just the community. And I think that's like the important part of like IP. There's a difference between community and IP. A community is something that you can shape together in a small circle, but IP is where you get people caring about the brand and the characters and the story. So for us, like, we ventured down that path like very early on in early 2023, and I think at that time, as I said, like the meta and what was valuable for a Web3 project was the complete polar opposite. It was, tokens, it was second collections, it was like all of these different expansive things that, were sort of value generating events, which, was important, of course. But, for us, we was looking more longer term and trying to figure out like how do we bring value to the community in the future, and putting in the sort of the work to start building a really sort of a lot more substance into the IP. So yeah, I mean that's what we've been sort of working towards. It's this balance between growing the brand outwards and at the same time like keeping that community close, being like boots on the ground, very grassroots, in that we're always approachable, we're just there. And I think that has been something that has resonated with the community, because there's like this family sense to it. And over these past 3 years, like whenever somebody has anything to say, we're always there to sort of chat about it. And yeah, that's sort of been the balance for us.
I haven't seen much FUD with the Chimpers community. Like, Chimpers is probably the one of the few NFT collections I've come across where the community are always positive, and there's not much. And I don't know how you guys curated it to be like this, but I haven't come across a Chimpers community member who's like a rabbit, like a scammer or a shiller. You know what I mean? You get these NFT collections that have that, but you guys seem to have this like quite family friendly, feel good vibe about you, which I don't know how you managed to curate that amongst a bunch of degens. I'll let you go on, Greeny. I just wanted to make that statement. It's pretty impressive.
I would agree with that. I'd second that for sure. It's funny you mentioned the metrics and stuff, because that was a question I wanted to ask later in the show. But we'll talk about it now because it's obviously right here. Like, everyone, unfortunately, like the first thing as a community is always the comparison of floor prices or the comparison of market caps if it's a token, right? It unfortunately is the metric that is at the forefront of every sort of crypto asset. And I wanted to really talk about that specifically. It's like, well, what actually matters to you guys as founders? Like, sure, floor price ultimately is important. But for me, what I've really noticed, and why we kind of picked up Apes as well recently, is it goes deeper than that. it's about obviously the fundamental side, it's about the community side, it's about the IP side, it's about the unique holders, it's about a shift in, like, obviously Figgy's now the CEO, for example, so that's a shift in approach. He's now a doer. Like, there's a lot more for me that goes into it. And then you see a clip of Thread guy literally yesterday saying, well, hold on a minute, NFTs are not running it back and blah blah blah. But you got to look at that guy and go, well, hold on, he's been sidelined to a lot of things. He gets paid for content, to like all that sort of stuff. So it's very different. So I actually want to ask you, as a founder, like what do you guys actually track? You and obviously Chimpers as well. Like what how do you go about maintaining it, like in all market conditions, I suppose, now, particularly now, like we are more so in a bear market right now. So how do you keep planning around what metrics actually matter? Is it social impressions across different platforms, as you mentioned, like across Instagram, across TikTok, across like X as well? Talk to us a little bit about all of that.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, yeah, it's definitely like twofold for us. Like, of course, one of the most fundamental things that we felt was necessary for like the health and long-term sustainability of Chimpers was to grow outwards, as I said, like building our social media platforms, building an audience outside of the bubble so that, we can build real connection. And as we have scaled the social media channels and, beyond just impressions, like building real community and, people outside of our own community that are interested and have, emotional connection to our brand is like hugely significant, because that in itself is important for, the health of the brand over the long term, because more and more people are entering the ecosystem. And, I think it's our duty as like the founders of the brand to like expand that scope of the actual community and nurture that as well, so that over time it just continues to grow, because you don't want to be speaking to the same small group of like super fans. Like, you need to be building new ways for people to enter. And that has been huge for us in itself, because it's opened doors, like in terms of like the cultural like that we built online has opened up doors on the licensing front, like collaborations, and just like these building blocks of taking Chimpers beyond just content and actually building like a real brand, because that takes years to do and it's not an overnight thing. So for us to do that like early on was really important for us to start endeavoring down. And at the same time, I think for us, like the alignment piece has been key as well, especially as we've now like got to a point where like the Chimpers brand has become obviously one of the biggest in Web3, but outside of the space as well, we're getting real sort of traction. So how do the holders, how do the community feel attached to that and tied to that? And the alignment piece for us was, building systems that really feed back into the community. So as the brand grows and like we build more revenues, for us, like migrating to a new contract was important. Adopting Chimpster as our token was important, and building a dojo treasury, which has like now grown to like 140 NFTs and 50 million Chimpster. And those are like tangible ways that we're building alignment, and that this treasure will be used to go back to the community in reward seasons with our upcoming collector hub, which is like purely focused around sort of reputation, loyalty, participation, and collecting. So I think measuring like the community and their sort of participation is obviously like huge. Like as you said, like holder count, all of these different things, seeing those gradually grow over time are important. And of course, like with Chimpers, the brand has been growing significantly, and the community has been growing. And for us, aligning them both together has been like one of the most like important equations to solve. And I think there's like loads of different ways that brands are trying to achieve that. Like, I think there's always been this question around like, what does like brand building do for, holders? And for us, like we've been trying to solve that with like a middle ground. Like, we're not saying that, there's going to be like revenue shares or like equity into the company, but with this sort of like dojo treasury and sort of giving back to the community through reward seasons and actually buying, our own NFTs, buying our own token and feeding that back into the community has been, one of the most like important things for us to solve in a sustainable way, so that, I think ultimately intent matters, like it's just the small things that matters. And for us to say that we'll be continually doing that as we continue to grow and like reinvesting back into the ecosystem, that has, boded really well and puts everybody on the same page and feels, stronger to sort of, champion everything together.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, it's so vast. Like, I mean, there's so many questions that I have to follow up there, but I'll hand over to Craig. What you can follow up with the question.
Yeah, one of the questions I had, and that was just being a bit of a noob into the Chimpers community, and that's probably a good thing because I'm sure there's a few viewers here that aren't familiar with your collections. I went on OpenSea when I looked up Chimpers. There's quite a few collections. Can you just break down quite simply for us, or as simply as you can, what each collection is or what it represents? What are the main ones? What are the sub collections? Oh, almost knocked my drink over. And yeah, just help me navigate. Like for someone new wanting to get started in your ecosystem, where do you start? What is everything?
Yeah, so to be fair, it is very simple. Like one thing that we've always done is keep things quite tight. Like in terms of, we've never launched a second collection. We don't have like a secondary membership. And there's only one Chimpers collection. There's 5,555 Chimpers NFTs. And there's obviously the 100 one-of-one Genesis Chimpers, which are the sort of, elite membership NFTs, really, you could say. But we did just migrate to a new royalty enforcing contract, which is probably why like there might be a bit of confusion on OpenSea, is that we've had to create a legacy collection. So we've blocked trading on our old collection and named it Legacy Chimpers. And now like the new collection is just Chimpers. Gotcha. And we've had around 3,500 migrate in the first 3 months out of the total supply. So, well over 60% have migrated already. And then, of course, we have a lot of art in our sort of community and ecosystem, obviously from like the storytelling, the chronicles, like these, storytelling pieces, but also we have a card app. So like digital collectible cards as well, which have been released on like drop cadences, like with different brands, like different collaborations. And I think the great thing about that question is that it's also been something that we've been trying to solve for. Like we know that when somebody comes to like an ecosystem, it can sometimes feel a bit like, spaghetti at a wall sort of thing. Like there's just so much going on. So we built world.chimpers.com, which is this sort of website story hub, which aggregates all of the stories, the collection, the traits, and a bunch of community stuff in one place. But we're also following up with that with something that I mentioned, which is our collector hub, the Dojo Club. And that's going to be the premier home for Chimpers, which sort of entails of this dashboard where you get home and news and like updates, but also it's like the home of your like collectible assets as well. So you can see your Chimpers, your tokens, your art and collectibles that you own, and it's all sort of aggregated in one place so that it's really easy to see like what you have, what you're missing, and especially for new people who come to the ecosystem. And a lot of times, like in communities, like old assets sort of start to collect dust and are sort of forgotten about. Whereas what we're trying to do with ours is, bring it all together in one place and actually build a system around it where there's a collector score. So the more of the assets that you own, the higher that your collector score is. And that'll be, really important for these reward seasons that I mentioned as well, where we're giving back NFTs, giving back tokens. So it's this like holistic ecosystem that we have built, and now we're sort of like gelling it all together in this collector hub, which is going to be launching really soon. And I think as well, sort of going back to the fundamentals, like it's been one of the big topics of the last like month or so, like going back to basics. What really matters about NFTs, it's the collecting, it's the art, the identity, like the traits, the resurgence of like grails and stuff like that. So for us, like making sure that we've got all of that like aligned and packaged up has been like an important task. And we've just been building that over the past few months. And yeah, you know, when that launches, it's going to be like super easy for you, as you said there, Craig, to sort of dive in and just like understand like what exactly is in this ecosystem and like why does it matter to collect those as well. And yeah, it's going to be fun. There's going to be like our version of like badges, which are chimp pins. We've got like over 100 pins that can be applied to your like collection. So people who own all sorts of like art, own sort of like chimpers and different traits and grails, like they're all sort of being recognized with these pins, and you can flex those. And I think that's really important as well to sort of you know, bring value to showing off your collection. So yeah, super exciting. And yeah, that's
One thing I
probably
just wanted to
the best
ask
answer.
quickly, Insight, just before Greeny goes again, did your
Yeah.
artwork, did you update the artwork, did you, when you migrated, did you? Because it's got that sort of, I don't
Yes.
know what the word is for the new art. What is the word for that
Well,
style?
it's not. I was like, yeah, I was going to ask this too. So, thanks for asking, Craig.
Sorry.
It's moved. No, it's okay. Hey, we asked the same questions.
We're flowing. Yeah, because it went from like the
Yeah.
pixel art, and now it's got like I can't remember the name of that particular style of art. It's like can't remember the name of it, but
It's kawaii.
yeah, that's it.
The
God
kawaii
damn it.
art.
Yeah. You can see how old I am now, not knowing that. My son will be going, dude, how did you mess that up? So what led to? Can you still go revert back to the old pixel art? Do you get both options? That can reflect what you hold?
Yeah. Now, so this is like a really like important update. Like, as you can tell, like it's been like quite a transformative period, you could say, for like the Chimpers collection. And one, it's been like well overdue for many reasons, but pixel art isn't going anywhere. Like, of course, like that's the OG style, like the collector sort of symbol of their brand, really. But from 2023 onwards, the way it all started on that social media front was, you know, our two artists who work with Chimpers are from South Korea, and they were community members, and they love Chimpers so much they created fan art. We brought them onto the team, and they were the ones who actually conceptualized the kawaii sort of illustrated line style. And that's what sparked our idea of, let's build a mascot character where we can take that to, you know, the wider world and have people, you know, fall in love with it and build sort of a front-facing character for people to really engage with. And of course, over the past 3 years, like building that content, the story, the brand has grown like enormously. Over 3.8 million followers now across all platforms, which is absolutely like, enormous. Like, yeah, it's just grown so much. But the interesting thing about it is that style is now superseded the pixels. So what everybody knew Chimpers in this space was pixel art. But if you go beyond the bubble and look at, you know, people who see us at trade shows like Licensing Show, Comic-Con, Designer-Con, or maybe they've seen us just on Instagram or TikTok. Maybe they've seen us, you know, in different collaborations like with Fugglers or, you know, Molang or other brands. Like for them, their sort of image of Chimpers is chimpy, the kawaii style. And as I said, like that has become the sort of staple for Chimpers. So for a long time, as we've been growing and the community in here in Web3 has seen that, there's been a little bit of a disconnect in terms of, that's absolutely amazing that the brand is growing and, you know, we're, you know, putting ourselves out there to build longevity and grow the community. But the pixel NFT is like, there's a little disconnect there. So for us, it was really important that we recreated the whole collection in this art style that aligns with the social media, so that one, they feel closely aligned to that growth. It makes it easier for us to weave them into the story, into future products, into branding. And, you know, each chimp now has their own name. It has their own backstory that's tied to the Chimpers world. Every single one has their own unique story. So for, you know, the top of the funnel, which we are at now with social media, the eventuality is that, you know, they'll start to explore the deeper collection and the brand, and they want to be able to see something that they're already familiar with and not something that they've never seen before. So making sure that we had that style also for the collection and the NFTs was like just really important for us to solve. And now, like, it's just a great way for them to feel a part of that. But it's not going away, the pixels on OpenSea. If you click the carousel, there's actually the kawaii style, but there's also the pixels, there's the animated version, and there's a music track. So it's like this whole like this multimedia experience of like.
Let me pull this up because there's so many good visuals here. I
didn't know any of this. So luckily we've got you on. I'm like, what the hell? A soundtrack.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we've got rid of Insight. Hold on, here we go.
No problem.
There we go. Now we're talking. Okay. Yeah. So if you come here, it's got like obviously all the options down the bottom.
Oh, yeah. That's always cool. I remember that.
That might come through a little bit loud. Hold on.
Is that unique per PFP, the track, or is it one? It's unique.
Yeah. So the cool thing that we did with this was, of course, like AI has obviously become like a core proponent to like every brand's like infrastructure right now, and we have been really like delving deeper into that. And we have the Chronicles story, which is like the 6-chapter story around Chimpers. And within that sort of story, there's the Genesis Chimpers, but there's like regions, there's parts of the world. And we built a system whereby there's like multiple different regions in the Chimpers world, and we assigned based on like trait categories, different regions to those trait categories. So the Chimpers NFTs all have their own unique region, for instance, like the Dragon Wastelands. And with that and the Chronicle story, we used AI to like generate 5,555 unique backstories that all pertain to that sort of underarching story about Chimpers. So it's not like an arbitrary thing. Like it's just, like there's a random name, there's this random backstory. It all ties to like the greater storytelling. And again, like that's something that is novel and makes the collection go from static JPEGs to this real collecting experience where you can actually there's different layers that you can now explore when you're collecting a Chimpers NFT, and this carousel is one of those. Like when you're immediately looking on OpenSea, but there's also the World Hub, like I mentioned, that website where there's like the deeper stories, and you can browse it all.
I wanted to bring up the visuals. I just didn't. I wanted to do it at an appropriate time. So, I mean, look, I'll try to pick one up later today after the show. I don't have my laptop on me, but no, after talking to you, it is like the proliferation of you guys. Like, and I totally understand that disconnect that you were talking about before, right? Like this character, you could say, the IP across Instagram with 1.2 million followers, with like millions of engagements on every single post. It makes sense that you want to bridge that to the current like collection, right? And I like that, and having that carousel allows every sort of holder to be happy in a sense, and it also unites people who maybe aren't a holder yet to maybe pick up one, right? Because they've seen you on Instagram or wherever else you're across those multiple platforms. So I love seeing that. I mean, to follow up with that specifically, my question was, like, you spoke about rewards and that time frame. Like, can you give us a little bit more insight around how soon that can or is going to occur, and then from there, what comes next? Like, where is Chimpers in a year, Chimpers in 2 years, 5 years, 3 years, all those sorts of things?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, next month is like going to be pretty awesome because it's our 4-year anniversary, and May 20th. So we've got a lot of things that have been sort of stacking up like in the pipeline to release. But yeah, the Collector Hub, we've been working on it for so long, and like we truly believe it's going to be like one of the best sort of collector experiences in terms of that, real holistic hub that, people can engage with daily. And yeah, as I said, like that sort of dojo treasury that we've been building as a result of, royalty fees, the Chimpster token fees, and also like brand revenues that we've, injected back into that as well. We built this whole sort of rewards treasury, and even a Genesis Chimpers is in there. And there'll be these quarterly reward seasons, and obviously, you'll enter these raffles based on your collector score. So to be honest, like we're looking at that maybe even next week or the week after potentially. So that's a little bit of alpha there. But there's a lot going on. Like we have our online shop launching, which is going to be like a really cool, tangible way for us to connect with the social media fans and start building real physical proliferation as well. On that, like the way that like Chimpers has evolved, like with the brand collaborations that we've been having, one of the most exciting ones that we had recently was Fugglers, and they're you probably, I don't know if you guys know them, but like they're one of the biggest character brands, toy brands like in the world right now in terms of like sort of kidult lifestyle character brand sort of area. And we did a collaboration with them in November, and it was this 3-part content series. It was super viral, but we also did like 2 plushy Fugglers with them, and it like broke the internet in terms of like their whole community was just absolutely mental about it, and it was like proliferating across all of the different platforms like Reddit subforums, like Pinterest,
cool.
etc. And we posted it on our online shop page around a few weeks ago, so 3 months later, and that post of the Chimpy Fuggler got over 100,000 likes just organically, like into the air, of people really wanting this. And I think that's like the special thing that we're now sort of traversing into. It's like we're now into like a phase of like Chimpers is transcending beyond just like content. There's real physical demand and affinity. So like for us to be launching our online shop like with that momentum, like it's really cool. And there's a lot going on like in terms of like other collaborations that we've got in the pipeline. And yeah, one thing that we've been really sort of building over the past few years is, of course, like there's the content arm of Chimpers, there's the brand, there's the socials, but underneath that there's the licensing arm and like building like the infrastructure of the brand, like in the lens of like the entertainment industry, and being present at like shows like licensing show and just that whole area. And we have been working on a deal with a master licensing agency who we have been really like hounding over the past 3 years we've been in that space, because they are probably one of the biggest manufacturers and distributors of character brands, and they do it the right way. And we'll be signing with them very shortly in a long-term contract to really build out like Chimpers globally, like across like global territories. So that's that's a bit of alpha there, but
that's cool.
Something that's absolutely huge in terms of like taking us to this sort of next level. And a little bit of a tangent, but I wrote an article about this yesterday, but just to like provide more color to like the way that we look at brand building in general. I think I mentioned earlier on, like in the space, I think Web3 in general had like a warped perception of like what brand building really meant in terms of like early on, like as I said, like it was all about like the big flashy announcements, the partnerships, the collaborations that don't necessarily move the needle in terms of like a fandom perspective. It's more of like a in the moment sort of potentially floor price mover, but it's not tangible, and that people won't care about it. It's a doom scroll sort of thing. But for us, that the way we've always looked at it, and especially something that early on has shaped my thinking, was David Horvath's philosophy. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with him, but I think he's working with the Kaleno team now, and was the founder of Ugly Dolls, which is one of the biggest character brands like of the last like 2 decades. And something that he did was write a Substack newsletter for like 2 years, and he basically detailed all of his thoughts and ideas around like how to build a character brand from zero and how to do it in the right way. And his philosophy was that the right way is the right small, meaning that it's not the big things, it's not the attention that you want to seek, it's the small moves that compound, and those are the things that allow great fandom to build, because you're catering to real organic sort of discovery. Like, you're allowing fans to discover you naturally and taking things slowly. And I think that's the way that we've always looked at things. And we've not been chasing the big flashy announcements and partnerships. We've been looking at like the character brands in our orbit, and like working at collaborations where it reinforces that sort of culture and crossover between our audiences. And that is what we've always sort of really deeply thought about. So it also aligns with our Web3 building. It's always been like really grassroots. And as I said to you guys, like the best way to build affinity like within community, but also as a brand in itself, is that direct connection and that sort of sense of like closeness to the brand. And I think the small moves help build that and foster that like organically over time. And that's just what the way that we've approached things. And with this new partner that we're bringing on board, like they are of the same philosophy, like aligned in that approach as well, that growing a brand like takes hundreds of small moves that happen over time and like gradually compound. And they'll be like a huge sort of force for us moving forward. So that's going to be exciting.
No, that's so much alpha there. I love to hear that. So hopefully people appreciate that in the audience as well. I mean, growing your brand is hard. Like, I mean, technically speaking, all three of us are growing an individual brand as well, right? And at some point, we're trying to, like, obviously I run my trading community. We're trying to grow the market mates brand as well. Like, we understand that journey, and as you say, like we have a similar philosophy. Like, our big goal is just consistency and time, and just continually nudging away over time, and hopefully that unites enough people to follow us as we continue to grow. So we understand that too. I wanted to just clarify, and not even clarify, but just ask, like, how do you balance, like, obviously, Pete, you want people to probably own the collection, right? But like, if you have a lot of fans across the world, across all of these different platforms, they see the partnerships, they see this licensing that comes in, like they see the proliferation of it, potentially in the world of, as you said before, like entertainment, and the direction moving forward. Like, is it a balance of like you want them to own the asset, or like the NFTs, and be part of it directly, or is it also okay for them to just be a fan from more a passive approach, like maybe merch, or maybe the plushies, like all of that sort of stuff? Like, how do you balance that? Because it must be such a challenge, because like for someone like me, I'm like, well, should I just go buy the NFT, or should I support you by getting a plushie? Like, that's kind of a question I'm kind of thinking about.
Yeah, so it's like we're speaking to two different audiences. Like the social media like fandom is like a completely different demographic, and they're not perhaps people who collect digitally. Like for them, like they just might want to connect with the character and the content because it makes them feel good. It allows them to disconnect from the world and start to have this real sort of a connection to the world and the characters. And for them, what matters more is just connecting to that. And then obviously people want to bring those physicals into their life and collect from the merchandising angle as well. But of course, like for us, like we're very like acutely aware that we can't just go to them and say like Chimpers is this NFT brand and that you can buy all of these NFTs from OpenSea. Like for us, it's like starting with content and characters first, and like gradually weaving them into the ecosystem. And one of the cool things that we did recently with our blind box series was have a digital component where you could actually tap the belly of the plushie, and you can redeem a digital card pack, which under the hood is an NFT, but all they have to do is sign up with their email, and they've got this like on-chain collectible, and we'll be able to sort of recognize that in our collector hub, because they'll have this NFT attached to it, which is like representative of the plushie. So they're not aware of that, and I think the reality is that 99% of like people outside the space really detest Web3 and crypto, and like it's just a really harsh reality that you see with like other brands in the space like Pudgies or Azuki, like with the trading cards, or the sort of, when they break out of that bubble, you see like how much of a disconnect there is with the wider world, and how they perceive Web3. So for us, it's always been trying to do it strategically with ways where we can bring them into the world with them not necessarily having to know, it's an NFT, but so it's a completely different audience. But the goal is to bring them into this world gradually, like stepping stones. And then on the sort of NFT side for holders, I think the biggest differentiator there is that these are like the legacy character assets of the Chimpers brand in the world, whereby as I said, like we've attributed stories to them. They can enter this sort of world of Chimpers, and benefit from the upside as the brand grows, because ultimately, as there is more attention, as there is more community and like gravitas sort of surrounding the Chimpers brand, more and more people want to be a part of it. And I think what we're trying to do with the alignment piece, with the collector hub, with our treasury and the token, and funneling that back into the ecosystem, it's just a sustainable way for us to continually invest back into the assets. So if you're a Chimpers holder and that the brand is going to continue to grow, that the NFTs and the token will potentially also, because we're reinvesting back into the whole ecosystem, if that makes sense. So it's two completely different audiences, but they all fall under the same banner of the Chimpers brand, and it's just speaking to them. Meeting the audiences where they're at is something that's really important that you have to do. And I think just understanding that they might not care or want to buy the NFTs, but some people might. So it's just like bringing them in gradually over time.
Yeah, no, I love that. Craig?
Yeah, I didn't actually realize you guys had launched the token already, to be honest.
Yeah, so
when did that happen?
Yeah, so there was the whole era of the strategy tokens back in October on TokenWorks. Again, for us, like with Chimpers, like we've always operated quite frugally and like very delicately, in the sense that like we didn't launch a second collection, we didn't do a TGE and launch a token, and primarily because we wanted to protect the collectors and the community, because we knew ourselves that we would not be able to manage two products, in that there's two different communities and products that you're having to manage there. So for us, like we've always tried to keep the value within one collection, and it really emphasized that is the core asset of the ecosystem, and something that we always shout about. Like there's only 5,555 Chimpers, and with the token, that came at a time in October where, of course, there was a lot of momentum around TokenWorks, and a lot of the early projects that launched there. And for us, we saw the mechanics of that, and it just clicked that would be a really smart way for us to attract like a new collector in the ecosystem. Like for one, having a strategy token, allows a new low barrier to entry into the ecosystem. But the mechanics behind it was something that really, made us feel confident that this could be something that we'd want to be involved in. So of course, like you guys are probably familiar, but like as there's, token sort of volumes, it accrues, a pool. And when that pool of, ETH gets to 100%, it buys a Chimpers NFT from the floor. So it solved that sort of disconnect between token and NFTs, where, as the token grows, the NFTs are supported. And it just felt right for us because, as I said, we've always been like this organic grassroots team. So having like a token launch of like, from a fair, launch, like from zero, and allowing the community to all sort of get in from zero, felt like a really great way for us to do it sustainably and be like, look, let's like grow this together and not sort of launch at astronomical valuations and trying to manage that over time. And I think there's trade-offs, like, of course, like with a strategy token, it's a low market cap token, but I think the sort of mechanics behind it is like the biggest fundamental driver to supporting the NFTs. And that was really something that got us excited, and why we said, like, look, let's adopt this token. So we didn't launch it. What we did was announce that we're adopting it as our ecosystem token. And we put out a whole paper that sort of details our thoughts around it. But again, like, it ties into the sort of treasury. So we allocate the 1% fee that goes back to us to the Dojo treasury, and that's used to buy back NFTs and the token. And we're one of the biggest holders of the Chimpster token as well. So yeah, like it's a core part of the ecosystem now, and something that, as NFTs like do start gaining momentum, and we've seen real sort of sparks of that over the last few weeks and months. Strategy tokens are designed to sort of fuel when those market conditions are there. So yeah, it's really interesting. It's a novel experiment, and something that like is like not without like trade-offs, as I said, but like it felt like the right thing for us to do. And it's cool because we have a 10 million club. So everybody who owns 10 million Chimpster is able to join this elite club called the Chimp Millionaires. And there's around, I think, 20 or 25, maybe a little bit more than that. And they're the sort of biggest collectors in the Chimpers ecosystem and the TokenWorks strategy ecosystem. And each of those members have worked with Chimpers to create a soul-bound NFT of their digital identity. And they're these like golden Chimpers pixel PFPs that, Chimpers works with that collector, and like a sort of like commission basis. And they create their forever PFP, and like it's immortalized in the soul-bound PFP. And when they drop below 10 million, it burns. So it's like elite sort of club in the Chimp Millionaires and Chimpster, which is pretty cool. And in the collector hub, like this is all going to be sort of recognized, and like holding Chimpster, like different reward tiers are all going to be like attributed to your collector score as well. So yeah, like we're working at building like a really aligned sort of ecosystem.
That's cool. That's good. I mean, it's always, I agree. I think that's the smart move. Like adopting the token makes sense. Like I like that. And as you say, if you're pushing it towards your rewards ecosystem, back to your holders, back to your community, like that's a great model in my opinion for where NFTs are right now. Probably don't want to take too much more of your time because it's obviously getting late over there. A couple last questions from us. Where do you see the NFT space heading in the next sort of year to 2 years? We had Figgy on last week, and he's so like he's just so bullish on and just so intent on really starting at the top. So pretty much starting with apes, and then from there the whole ecosystem really starts to thrive. And he's obviously pushing other side and stuff in the coming years. So I wanted to get your take. Where do you see, as one of the most prominent sort of founders and co-founders out there with a very well-known NFT collection, where do you see the NFT space in the next few years?
Yeah, I think firstly, like on the ape sort of topic, I think it's so important for them to be leading the way. Like, of course, like they like sort of trailblazed the way for NFTs, like, are known as the sort of face of the NFT space at large. So obviously for them to be getting like this resurgence and like leading the way, like it's great for the whole space, and you can feel it. Like it's reinvigorating all sorts of like collectors coming back, and it's putting fire under the sort of the whole ecosystem at large. And yeah, like it's huge. Like it feels really good. Not as not just because we're like hugely like connected to that world, but also like just for at large.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think the next few years, I think a few spaces now, like in Loki's space, and a couple of others where like some of the founders have been present. I think now, like 4 years in, there's so much directly quoting Cab here from Claynosaurs, there's so much meat on the bone in terms of like projects. And I think teams have been able to build their own unique brands. And for us with Chimpers, like we've developed this real sort of holistic ecosystem, but a real sort of tangible brand that is like building real affinity in the real world and drawing more people into, you know, the goal for us is to draw more people into Web3. And I think that for brands like in Web3, for us to grow and thrive and for the space to go at large, building real tangible brands is something that every, you know, team is going to straddle with, and I think places a lot of importance on. But, you know, I think that we've had a reset in terms of like all of these expectations, like teams being pulled in every which direction to try and, you know, keep things ticking over. And now it's like, let's just return to basics. Let's like focus on the art, the collectibles themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, you know, apes leading the way. It's like people are falling in love again with just collecting. So
Yeah.
I think that is of course like going to be, you know, one of the big sort of driving forces. But yeah, I don't think like we can understate the piece of like growing a real tangible brand. And I think that's like half the equation of you know, building, you know, real affinity to your collection and NFTs by, you know, placing value on them, like putting attention to them and building systems around them where people actually can care about them and holding them, but also building a brand beyond that sphere where people can start to learn about that brand and, you know, really pushing forward the IP. So yeah, I mean that's what we're focused on.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I feel like we're still so early to digital collectibles. When you look at the resurgence of Pokemon cards and whatnot recently, it's and how viral that is. I think
Yeah.
people will come around to NFTs in time and digital art. I would agree with that as well. Craig?
Yeah, I wanted to say, what would just before we go? I know, yeah, Greeny said it's midnight your time now, so it is getting on. So thank you for making the effort, dude, to jump on. What's probably the number one thing you're most excited about that you can that's coming up for Chimpers that you can sort of get the crowd hyped about, or what's hyping you up? Well, what's the most exciting thing for you coming up that we can talk about?
Yeah, definitely. I think I mean, the collector hub is going to be huge, as I said. Like we've been working on that for so long, and like it's going to be like a core, like proponent to the ecosystem. And you know, that is just going to bring a lot more fun, and you know, the rewards, that all of these different things are going to be really powerful in driving, you know, a lot more fun around the community. But yeah, as I said, like we've just been working so hard on like building this aligned ecosystem, like putting the jigsaw puzzle pieces together. And now we feel like we're in like a really solid spot to just springboard. And I think on the brand side, like for Chimpers, you know, we have been building like real groundwork in terms of like establishing the social medias, building real brand equity and just being present in that space. And now, as I said, like we're at that sort of inflection point now where we're, you know, about to sign this deal and just really take Chimpers like far and wide. It is something that you know, just incredibly excited for, really, because when you spend like every single waking day an hour to really like put the brand in a position to flourish, like it's a good feeling knowing that we're going to be in good hands here and to grow. So yeah, there's a lot of fun things coming. One thing that you mentioned at the very start was the Diamond Fleece, and a little bit of alpha on that, just because it's like immediate. Actually, Adam, who holds that, we're actually organizing a live stream, which potentially is going to be happening tomorrow, a live burn of the Diamond Fleece with
cool.
Adam, with us, potentially some of the ape team as well, and burning it live to see the Genesis chimp reveal. So yeah, that's going to be super fun. So excited for that.
That's so cool. No, well, I mean, I wanted to ask one last question. What's a bold statement about crypto? Before we sign off, and I'll say one little more piece after you reply. But what's a bold statement about where crypto is in your understanding?
Yeah, I think like I alluded to it a little earlier on, like with the I I think the place that we're at right now is far from adoption. I think with crypto, like I think that's like an obvious sort of thing. Like, you know, it's kind of like a cop out answer, but like that adoption feels like it's pretty far away. So and that's, you know, purely from being like on the sort of brand side and like seeing, having that proximity to like regular people and their perceptions and sort of feelings around crypto and Web3. Like it's, you know, it's pretty like, you know, it's pretty dark in that like they really don't like it. Like, so I think there's a lot of work to be done to try and like change those perceptions.
Mhm.
And it's not to say that like crypto can't like survive and thrive like enormously without like this, you know, mass of people in the real world. But there's a lot of skepticism and there's a lot of, you know, stigmas that have lingered
Yeah.
since, you know, it's since inception really. And I think it's interesting that you know, all of the teams and brands that are building in the space right now, that's something that we have to like straddle with and like work together to try and build that like positive reception to you know, Web3 IPs, crypto, FTs at large. So there's a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with you there for sure. Well, I mean, mate, first thing, congrats. Like you guys have done so well over the past 4 years. I have nothing but the highest regard for you both and what you guys have achieved. And on behalf of obviously Market Mates and the audience, because everyone in the audience is saying the same thing as well. Like, thank you for being like just so true, so real, and just organic. Like it's so rare for us to have people like you in the crypto space. So massive thank you for one joining us today at 11 p.m. and also two for just being such a genuine guy, genuine team, and genuine brand. Because unfortunately, as you just alluded to, there's a lot of issues with this crypto space still being so new. So thank you so much for jumping on. And last one is if people trying to find more information about Chimpers, where should they go? What should they do? Give us a little plug at the end.
Yeah, just follow Chimpers HQ on X. If anyone ever is, you know, like looking to explore more, you know, hit up the community, hit up myself. You know, we're always happy to help. And you know, a lot of fun things to come, a lot to be excited for. And again, like just really appreciate you having me on, like sharing the story. And yeah, it's been really fun.
No, anytime, mate. You're always welcome on this channel.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I just want to second what Greeny said. You know, it's I think in a place like the, you know, the crypto marketplace and NFTs, you've got a lot of fly by nights who come into the space, extract. Even, you know, there's a few projects now that NFTs are starting to pump again. They're starting to pipe up again after not tweeting for a year. I won't name names, but you know, and I want to say that, you know, people like Greeny and myself, and I think other collectors out there and people that have stuck around in crypto and didn't leave, we see the projects that stick around even in the hard times.
Yeah.
And I think it's great what you guys are doing. You know, we've had so many people jump in here, dude, and say Insight's so genuine and such a good dude. Probably the most comments I've ever seen about a 100%. Founder. Like, I'm just like, holy crap.
Oh, wow.
Great feedback, bro. I don't know if you can see the chat, but
I wish I could pull it up. I wish I could.
Dude, every second comment's just like, Insight, such a great dude, so genuine. So I just, you know, that feedback I think is fantastic. And I think if we want to get normies into NFTs, and they still have quite a bad name, don't they, amongst the outside world in some ways, you know, their missions and all the stuff they go on about in the media sort of portrayed them as quite bad for the environment. It's great, you know, we need founders like you that behave in a above board manner, that have the right intentions from a business perspective. And I think it's only going to push NFTs further forward. So not a question, more just a compliment to you, dude, and the way you've handled yourself, because you easily could have left, so easily come in, minted and left, and you stuck around, you're doing the hard work. So Yeah, thank you so much, dude, for
Yeah.
jumping on it. It's God forbidden time for you. I know I struggle to
worries.
stream at times. And I know Greeny's looking at a chimp. I've looked at chimps for so long, dude, and never pulled the trigger. So maybe I need to now. I need to get a bit of ETH after buying my ape. I'm eating ramen for the next 6 months. So I need to hit a good lick somewhere, get a win somewhere. And I'll definitely get it. Well, your collection's always been that other one I've always had my eyes on and just haven't quite done it yet. So it's quite good to have you on here and just clarify things, even just for me. So thanks, brother. Thanks for jumping on. And yeah, dude, really appreciate everything you've done for the space.
Definitely. No, honestly, like super, like, I mean, puts a smile on my face, like hearing that as well, like to know the comments there, like we'll definitely have to check those out. But yeah, no, like we like wear our heart on our sleeve, like Chimpers, we're a family team. Like, you know, we, you know, have just evolved in this space naturally. And for us, like it's everything. Like this is what I do, wake up, live and breathe it, like spend every single hour of the day, like for the past 4 years. So you touched on like the, you know, some of the you know, the passengers who like come and go like over the past years. And I think like there's been a lot of debate on that sort of piece over the last day or two, like that, you know, collections coming back. And I know why it's sensitive for like a lot of teams, because when you do spend like so much time, like every single day, and like working so hard for the community, and you know, it's just the market, like speculation will fuel things. And I think that you can't police what people collect, because ultimately like it's within anybody's right to collect what they like and what they love. But like I think people just acknowledging like the why the repercussions of like the things that they collect as well. Like, you know, I think that's like been like that debate, hasn't it? Like over the past few days. And for us, like we, you know, it is painful sometimes, like seeing that stuff, but it's, you know, it's just the nature of the space. And you know, the only way for you to, you know, out like, you know, grow that sort of like conflict is if like you have real tangible meat on the bone. And for us now, like that stuff like that, like where there are like short-term sort of distractions or like attention shifts, you know, sometimes you feel like you're not getting the recognition or credit that you deserve. Like for us, like we're just heads down grinding, and we know exactly where we go and we know what mission we're on. So irrespective of like what people are, you know, pumping, or, you know, the space is sort of getting excited about, like debating, like, yeah, you know, we know exactly what we're doing. So, yeah, you know, I think having that track record, that sort of showing up every single day, you know, it'll matter. And we've always looked at it as, you know, time is the greatest filter. And, you know, eventually, you know, it'll come to a point where you have to look what is, you know, tangibly there. And for Chimpers, there's a hell of a lot. So yeah, just wanted to say my piece on that part. And yeah, you know, we'll keep on doing the same.
No, I love to hear that. No, thanks so much for jumping on with us, Insight. I hope you have a good sleep, mate, because I'm sure you'll be heading straight to bed very shortly. And hopefully we'll have you on maybe in like 6 months or a year's time. We'll come back. We'll see how it all went, and we'll be checking in, obviously, and chatting. Yeah, look, same as Craig, I'll have to move money around, and I definitely want to keep my eyes on getting some of the Chimpers exposure. I think that's a good decision for me moving forward. So no, thanks again for jumping on with us. We very much appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Yeah,
thank you so much, Insight.
No worries, mate. See you later. Well, guys, we're going to continue today just because, as always, like we like to break down our conversation after we've had a guest, and then we like to take a quick look at the market. So if you have any specifics, we'll bring up chat now. We'll obviously talk about NFTs. We'll obviously talk about some of the charts as well out there, and have a look to see how the market's going. But Craig, obviously, for those that maybe do not know, Craig bought an ape. Was it yesterday? Did you buy the ape yesterday, Craig? I think it was.
Feels like just the other day. Yeah, yesterday. I've been broke since yesterday. So yeah, times are tough. Like I said, I'm going to have to eat ramen for a while. I had to make a few moves that I was a bit uncomfortable with. I'm starting to get a bit of pudgy hate now. I'm starting to feel the wrath of the pudgy, because I put out that we put out that video. It's what we spoke about yesterday about pudgy going through a bit of a hangover.
Yeah.
And I've got a few pudgies cracking the shit saying, why didn't I say this at all-time high?
Yeah.
I'm like, far out, you guys. You guys are actually just being exactly what I was talking about. And I even made a comment saying, look, I still think Pudgy's is one of the premier collections. So I just want to state that now, because I think maybe a few people have misconstrued our comments.
Yes.
I still think Pudgy's is a great collection. I just think there's a little bit of...
so bullish on Pudgy penguins. Like, okay.
I think they're going to send, and I will re-enter as soon as I can get some more ETH under my belt. So for the Pudgies out there that saw that and went, whoa, Craig, why are you attacking us as soon as you leave? That's not what this is about. All I'm saying is it's a time frame thing, and I'm talking 3 months, 6 months, not 1 year, not 2 years, not 3 years. It's not a forever thing. And I think sometimes people are quite short-sighted on moves people make. And one of the other things is Greeny and I aren't made of Ethereum. We're not atoms, so I need to unfortunately sell things sometimes to buy things. So just take those comments with a grain of salt. So shout out to everyone who got a bit upset about that. You know, the thing is, I still believe what I said. I still stand by what I said. I just wanted to clarify that. And I actually see Pudgy selling pretty well today, Greeny. They're actually starting to move.
7% as well, Craig. They're up 7%. Breaking news last night. We have a serious problem. My wife just told me that she prefers Craig's ape to mine, chat. So this is my beautiful, a very clean 5-trait
piece.
naked zombie. And my wife prefers this one. So we
how could you not love that unshaven, angry, ciggy smoking cowboy sailor zombie?
She was like, I like the cowboy hat. I like the background color. I like the shirt. And I was like, so
ladies love the hat.
You don't like my naked zombie?
No, I found that so funny when you sent me that, dude. I cracked up. I told my wife, I even got her to come and listen to it. She was cracking up. I actually like yours. I actually think yours is dope. I think they're both good. I'm actually just super stoked. As cheesy as it is, we actually, because we're on Market Mates together, it's quite fitting we both have zombies, I think. It happened by mistake, but it's kind of, even Figgy messaged me on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
He randomly messaged me and goes, brother, you guys both having zombies hit so fucking hard. And so he thinks that, and I actually think it works quite well together as a team. So I don't know if I've always probably got a preference for naked, or naked anything, to be honest, but NFTs is pretty good too.
Fair play.
But I do like a clean ape. I could argue either way, bro, to be honest. I can argue either way on these. I like my aqua background, but I don't know. I think your one's sick, dude. I think that's sick.
No, I don't. Honestly, I prefer mine. Like I'll admit, like, but I also, like, we've spoken obviously with Hugo at length and some of the chat as well. Like the aqua color it makes it ping better, right? Like that's always the case. It makes the eye a little bit more susceptible to be like, oh no, like it
gravitates to it. It's like a neon marker or something.
Yeah, it's a neon marker that gives it that, oh shit, like it's more of like an eye, not an eyesore, like can't think of the word, but like it's the same as like my background. It's the reason I've got that background color now, because it's kind of like, oh, it's like a different color. It makes you really think, oh, hold on a little bit. It goes, and Hugo's in the chat. You can literally see his chatting right now. So yeah, I like it. It slaps. Like the aqua color background really slaps. So I really like I really like your zombie. And we obviously spoke about that. The fact that it sat there at 10.8 ETH for about 4 days. And
the one I got.
Yeah, the one you got.
I could not believe it sat there.
I thought it was a deal there, bro.
The floors hit what I bought it for now.
Yeah, you're already in profit. And I mean, same with me. I bought my zombie, naked zombie here for a 5-trait zombie for 10.6 ETH, Craig. Was it a week ago? That week
might have been, yeah. So
and I'm already in profit. So it just shows you that sometimes shopping slightly above floor, not like mid tiers, is always like. Ethan did a video. He's a big creator. He's part of the Bayek Cancel. BAYC is I need to be saying that, not Bayek.
He actually reached out to me recently and said, he said he's loving the show. Actually, reached out and said,
shout out to Ethan.
Yeah, I was like, good on you, dude. I haven't heard from you in years.
No, shout out to him, and he put me in a video actually, and after my post as well on Twitter. So shout out to him. And he DM'd me just saying, hey, you're in this video. I said, yeah, mate, no troubles. Thanks for that. Thanks for letting me know. What was his comment? It was, don't necessarily go for mid tiers because obviously you're stuck in between that. Like you either want to go full grails or you want to go floor. The beauty about what me and you have done is that we found kind of a mid-tier, I would say nearly above mid-tier ape, literally just above the floor. So for me at the time, I think it was maybe like a lot of people like, oh, $3,000, that's quite a lot of money. But I mean, I'm already in profit now.
Because it's not though. It's 10%.
Not like it was like, I think the floor at the time was like 9.6-ish or 9.8-ish ETH. And I bought this for 10.6. I was like, okay, for an extra ETH, like for an extra 10%, I will gladly own something like this that not only fits my brand, and I think that's a really following on with what Insight said, the beauty of trying to get a brand that's like, and this is the thing, like I know how to build a brand with an NFT. The hot
look at your budgie. I mean, look at my honorary puppet.
Look at your puppet. Like people know you as that puppet, right?
Yeah.
Same as me. Like go back, my first major NFT profile picture was the hot doggo, and people were like, "Oh yeah, it was one of the most well-known hot doggos." Then I became the pudgy, and then it was one of the most well-known pudgies, right? So hopefully now, I mean, I'm now fighting a conglomerate of apes on the timeline who are so well known. Like I mean, like
there are some bangers.
Captain, dude, there's so I could list off so many. D-Farmer, like there's just so many apes on the timeline that you're now in that crowd. I'm like, okay, well now I have to really try and proliferate my ape, my brand again. But this sort of ape really goes, oh, it fits Greeny so well because it's literally a zombie. I need to update the size of it to match your size as my PFP. But it was really interesting talking to Insight around brand and IP because that's exactly why we bought this zombie, or I bought mine and you bought yours slightly above the floor because it's good value there. And it also, it helps propel us in the way that we want as we obviously promote our own personal brands and market mates on X and other platforms, I suppose.
It's funny. My PFP that a lot of people knew me by in 22 was my Gucci ape.
Yes.
So I had a Gucci ape with a cowboy hat. And I pretty much had that because I couldn't afford an ape at the time. And I was like, okay, I'll go the beta play. That's like an 1 ETH instead of 200 ETH. Yeah. So I've kind of come full circle now. I had a Gucci ape, which I still own. A lot of people knew me by that. And I put in a custom Gucci background. It was so weird. I didn't realize the power of a PFP back then. And so many people, when I even now, I had a few people message me the other day. I forgot this. They were like, dude, I remember you when you were a Gucci ape with a cowboy hat and even ape with a cowboy hat. So it's kind of, in a weird way, come full circle. So that's kind of pretty cool. I mean, for you and me, you know, when you're building a brand, you've got to be quite strategic. I mean, you're fussy. I'm fussy about NFTs I buy in the first place, let alone if I PFP it. Like, I'm really fussy. Like, I'm not going to have, no shame to the crazy eyes out there, but I'm not going to have the bulging out eyes. I'm not going to have a dress. I'm not going to wear the dress. That's not my vibe. The hair, the red hair, no shame to the red hair and the bun there, not my vibe. That sort of stuff.
Bunny's ape.
Bro, I
can't believe he sold that just quietly. So Bunny was obviously one of the largest apes, like for a long time there, partners, well, not partners, but part of loosely friends with, or part of the team with the doggos for years. And then it's kind of just, I mean, that's a lot of people come and go in crypto, and the consistency is really, really hard for people to stay consistent. So it's sad to see him sell his.
I thought the timing of it. I mean, I hope he's all right, because sometimes people sell things because they've got emergencies that come up. So that's why I actually messaged him and said, "I hope you're all right, dude." Because if it was a timing thing, I'm like, man, if you had held, look, I might come back. This might come and bite me in the ass, man. And he might have made the right move. But I just thought, with he's starting to heat up now, 3 to 6 months, you might have seen this double, triple. But yeah. I mean, look, sometimes, you know, I know he's got kids as well. Sometimes stuff happens with family, and you just, so I'm not one person I don't sell shame.
No, neither, dude. Like, take it. We're all here to make money, and the amount of people that sell shame, like, you are literally
they're liars as well, bro. They're liars. Yeah. The people that sell shame are the first to sell, man. That's what I've noticed with meme coins. I've tracked wallets and seen people that sell shame, and they're the ones on other bags dumping. But look, shout out to Bunny. I hope you're right, brother. You're probably not watching this. He hasn't posted in ages, but he's got a Bodoggo there now.
Yeah, they've done a special Bodoggo for him, which is cool. Or he did it himself, which is cool. So
that's cool though. That's cool you put that up. I just hope the dude's right. I always enjoyed his content. So for me, when I see stuff like that happen, the first thing I thought, other than shit, he sold it, was I hope the dude's all right, man. Because sometimes you just need 10 grand fast. I get it. And I've done similar things in the past. So hopefully the big fella's right. That's an iconic ape.
Yeah.
I wonder how that will trade now. Because the problem with that ape now is it's Bunny's ape.
Yeah, but that's what we spoke to Figgy about. And and even Insight touched on it too. It's like that trend, like you're now juggling, because of how long NFTs have been around now, you're now juggling new holders with community members that have been with you for years. You're also juggling the brand, the IP with the NFT collection. So I have so much respect for like Insight. Like he gave us so much then, just insight into how it all works, like from a
deep thinker, right? Yeah,
incredibly deep thinker, incredibly complex. Like when you think about juggling like licensing, juggling merch, juggling like trying to keep holders happy, trying to keep the proliferation of their social presence on social media. Like, dude, I did not realize how big of a brand Chimpers had become on social media. They're bigger than, I'm pretty sure that's bigger than Pudgy.
I want to say, you know what I'm noticing on the timeline now, and this might have come across your desk, is Azuki's getting a hard time now from their IP take, where Zaga came out and said, we're looking to build IP. And people went, well, you're using Azuki's IP, but if you use their IP, the holder of said assets actually not getting extra royalties or anything.
Yeah.
So why, say I own a beast, I own a spirit, whatever, Azuki, and they say to me, hey, Craig, can we slap that into a comic? And I go, sick, man, that sounds awesome.
Pay me.
As the holder, I might get the notoriety of mine being in there, but I'd get no Greeny's dropped. I'm all alone. As the holder, they're not financially aligned. Azuki are you there, Greeny?
Yeah, I'm here, chat. Sorry. Okay, you guys have to chat again. I don't know what happened. I just dropped in and out. Sorry, go. Restart again.
Azuki gets to use your IP to sell things, but you as the holder don't make any extra money. That to me doesn't scream alignment. Am I wrong here, guys? Is that incorrect? Because I just don't understand that. Like, how does that benefit holders?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's a fine balance between, well, who actually has the IP, right? Like, is the like is the holder? I don't know. Each collection is different. We obviously went through that whole CCO stuff. I don't know. Was that a year or two ago?
Moonbirds, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. What's your bold take? Do you think a holder of an NFT should have full license, full control of the asset, or technically speaking, it's under a company and it's not your asset? You're like buying a portion of, like, it's a tricky one because it has a picture attached to it, right?
Well, it's always been sold as you put the IP. That's how it was always sold. Yes. So if it's sold as that, it should be that. I think, me personally, if you're using, I mean, they've gone and bought an expensive JPEG. Let's just, let's be honest. You could just print it out and whatever, right click, the jokes they get said about us. So one of our arguments about owning NFTs is ownership. That's what an NFT is, it proves ownership. You can't force the ownership. If that's the case, and we're pushing that case to normies, then I would think if you lease or give any project the right to use it, you should be financially rewarded if the project gets more eyes on it, if it sells more comics, cards. And I know you could turn around and go, yes, but it brings the whole project up. It's like, yeah, but I still had to spend 20 grand for that. No one else did. So why would I spend 20 grand to lift everybody up? Now, I know that could be that's quite you're only looking after yourself. Yeah, but we all look after ourselves. Like, come on, guys, let's be honest here. Like, I don't want to spend 20 grand. I take this back. I would spend 20 grand to help the whole project, but I definitely want to help myself more than the other people. Otherwise, I'll let everyone else spend the 20 grand, and I'll just ride the coattails, right? So it's a really interesting debate that's going on now with Azuki and that alignment or incentivizing holders and the project, which I don't know if I've got the right take here because I don't have all the info, but it's just I've seen it on my timeline and I'm finding it really interesting, some of the FUD that's going around with Azuki now, because they push into TCGs and stuff.
Mm.
And it seems like holders just aren't reaping the rewards. Well, I know it grows Azuki as a brand. Yeah, it's a tricky one, huh? I guess I'm just saying it's tricky, and it's a balancing act. And I feel like we haven't quite ironed this out. So Azuki's going through a bit of a thing. And look, let's face it, when price goes down, this is the stuff that comes up. So yeah. What are these guys saying?
Yeah, mixed approach. People have been playing the game like fully supportive, and Zagabond's replying to them. But then people like to say, "Gee, Gaza, who has an ape." I think the point many make is that your target audience was Web3 people, and this bankrolled you then to switch your target audience to people who, in your words, hate Web3. So there's been a deliberate decision to turn your back on that regard. So I think it's just a lack of, maybe not appreciation is probably the wrong word, but just a lack of clarity about and that's why I was so intent on asking Insight, how do you juggle the balance? And this is obviously what Zagabond's going through right now with the Zukis. It's like, how do you balance the TCG, the manga, like the whole NFT collection? I wonder if Fran's in the show today, maybe not. But it'd be interesting to hear what the community says, because it seems like there is a bit of a disconnect here. Because it's like, again, it's like, well, hold on a minute.
That's
like,
a good point there. This here. Sorry, Ben, to cut you off.
No, go for it. You probably.
This was the original post I saw, whereby obviously they had a PFP, they allowed it to be a TCG or a manga, and then they were sort of saying, well, how does that benefit the actual holder of the art who spent their hard-earned money? But it lifts the project. But once again, everyone didn't contribute to the purchase of that NFT. Only one person did.
Yeah.
Like if it wasn't crowdfunded, if that's the case, I feel like the holder, me personally, my take on it, I'd like to see each individual holder, if a project uses, because the project sold the art, it's no longer, the project doesn't own that art anymore. Mm-hmm. The holder does. That's my understanding. Am I wrong on that, Azuki? Like, I don't know the legalities with what the small print is on that. Maybe they need to come out and clarify that.
Well, it's this part here of Zagabond's post. I've been very clear about what Azuki is and isn't. Read my pinned article. The NFTs are collectible characters and the original IP of the Azuki universe. The team is building a TCG and a manga from that IP. We work closely with the holders who internalize this path, and that has been one of the most rewarding stretches of the journey. This path allows us to grow and proliferate the characters owned by holders with products that appeal to mainstream audience. Some will disagree. I respect it, but that doesn't change my mind. That doesn't hit me the right way. If I was looking from an outside in, which I currently am, reading that doesn't necessarily make me want to go and buy an Azuki.
It makes me feel like I'm funding his project.
Yeah, which goes back to the point I kind of started with the question is, like, I get it. Like, I kind of do. Like, it's the same as like GTG. I would hate for people to go out and use my IP or use my community or use
yeah, but you didn't sell it in 20,000 or 30,000 items, make 20 million, 50 million, 100 million.
Oh, they raised so much. They made, from the Elementals was a joke of how much money they made in the, dude. So it seems like I can understand why holders are a bit upset here. Like, it's been nothing but, like, you think about the skateboard stuff too. Like, wasn't that millions? Who's the main, who's the top dog that got that? I can't even remember.
Oh, someone bought the gold skateboard.
Yeah, who was it? It was was it
I can't remember now.
It wasn't Pranksy, was it? I can't remember.
Who sold him? This is you guy here too. Sold him in no way I would want back in there with comments like that. Yeah, I'm going to say that comment just didn't read great from him, and it seems slightly condescending, but maybe I'm misreading his tone. It's hard to be a founder, right? I get it. I'm not like
Stingerling, that's who it is. Yeah, Stingerling.
Stingerling. Yeah, like, I know it's hard, but I just think rising tides, raise all boats, and I feel like the holders probably feel like they're getting left behind. Yeah, and not. I just feel like holders have got to get an earn, man. If they put their hard-earned money in, they've got to get something out of it financially. But yeah. And look, let's face it, in bear markets, this stuff just gets worse. Like, people get shitty about it. You know, if prices were pumping, no one would care.
No.
They care now because they're hurt.
I wish Fran was here to comment again after this came out, because he obviously commented. I don't know if that, because this is the direction that he's going, but I feel like if you look at his comment, it's literally the opposite, isn't it? Like that, like greater than, greater than, greater than. Yeah, that greater than.
That leads to.
Or this leads to, yeah, PFP TCG, mate. I'm a bit confused by his comment. That's why I was a little bit like, I'd love if he was here again today to sort of like, give us his opinion. Clear vision, aligned goals. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the community's mixed, right? It looks like certain people who've been playing are like, yeah, a lot of people playing locally would not play this if this game was simply some overlay complicated crypto token NFT thing. Make a good game, make it fun. It's simple. So yeah, it seems like the community is quite split at the moment. But I mean, this is a direction, and as Simone says in the comment, TCG top 5 sales is from 30 years of established brands. So you can't argue with that, Craig. You can't argue with that.
Tough to break into. I mean, it's admirable they're trying to. Again, I just would love to see holders rewarded, because founders were very well rewarded from the sales of the mints. I would like to see holders who hung in there, bought these things for, pretty expensive once upon a time. Just get a little bit, give a little bit back. But I don't know. Look, the reality is we don't know all the behind the scenes stuff. We can only kind of talk about what we know. So, Zagabond maybe we need to try and get him on one day. And just
we follow each other, so I could reach out to him.
Yeah, maybe, and he might come on and totally explain it. You and I might be like, oh my God, that makes perfect sense. So with the information, I'm just one of those people. I love to see holders get rewarded for being loyal to a brand.
Yeah, but loyalty doesn't pay, and this is
pay though, does it?
This is the life reality, guys. Loyalty does not pay. You're loyal to a job, you're loyal to a bank. They don't give a shit, bro. They'll take as much money from you or keep you down. Like, yeah, dude, that's life. So I know it's interesting. Hugo says a lot of hat sales on BAYC at the moment, Craig. I love to see that. So, Craig, you are a hat owner. Love to see it. We saw this one sale here. That's a pretty clean ape this morning. Sold for 10.98 with a very. What do you call that?
Sailor hat.
Yeah, sailor hat. But what's it called? The instrument? Or is it a pipe? Oh, is it
a weed pipe? I don't know what that thing is. Is it a whistle?
Hold on. I thought it was a. Hold on. Is it a? Yeah, it's a kazoo. No, it's a kazoo. It's a kazoo, not a pipe. I knew it was a kazoo. Yeah.
Is it a flute or something? What's a kazoo, Greeny?
Like dude, it's kind of like, how like a harmonic, like you have. It's it's an instrument. It's an instrument. No, the merch hat was. Oh, I thought you were referring to the. I mean, I was saying like there's a lot of hat sales recently. No, the merch.
The hat that's.
I think he was wearing it on the show, bro. Yeah, hold on. They sold out really quickly, didn't they?
Yeah, I didn't get to nab one. I would have
shout out to Bored Ape Yacht Club following me on Instagram and Twitter. Massive shout out to
you. Got the Twitter. I haven't got them yet on Twitter, I don't think.
Surely Figgy would have done that. Yeah, so what was Hugo, what did we miss by not being in? How do I get started in the clubhouse? Because Hugo, can you DM me about how to get started in the clubhouse? Because I don't want to do the wrong thing and click wrong buttons or whatever. But I need to be able
to straight away.
Know how to do it really easily. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, we talk about this hat that he dropped. I mean, he was wearing it on the show, but yeah, I know the one that you're talking about. Yeah, this one.
There we go.
It's
Look at that mad dog. Looks like my ape.
Hold on. I want to. Are you going to buy some merch? I really kind of want to buy some merch.
I'd cop that cap.
I want to put my ape on merch too, though, Craig, as well.
Yeah, we will do that eventually one day, I think. Wouldn't mind putting on a hoodie or something now that it's winter here for about 4 weeks. Wouldn't mind a little or t-shirt or something, just when you're walking around at the expos or whatever you want to call it, the crypto cons and stuff like that.
When they proliferate to Australia, Craig, that's been my word of choice today. When they
that's a good word for a Friday when you're tired. Members only at the back of the. Yeah, it's quite funny when you go to the clubhouse on the other side. If you're not wearing an ape or mutant, you're not allowed in. It says it's a dress code thing comes up. It's pretty funny. It's good. It's a good message. I still need to jump in. I need to connect. What wallet? I've asked this about 17 times. Sorry, guys, my memory's not what it used to be. What wallet? What delegate wallet do you guys use?
Delegate.xyz.
Oh, okay. Yeah, righto. Did you have to download a wallet?
No. So you just connect it to hot wallet. So for example, like I use my MetaMask as my hot wallet. I have since moved all my NFTs out of it and my rect bag and put them in separate wallets. And then you go to delegate.xyz with the wallet that holds said assets. And then you just paste the other one in, and it basically is like, yeah, no, that one works. Whenever, like for right now, like I'm connecting to the website with my
with your Delegate wallet.
my Delegate wallet. Yeah.
Perfect. I need to do that today. I need to go run around the other side with my ape, bro. I can't wait to see it instead of that silly robot I've been running around with.
Yeah. No, dude, we should get some merch. Be cool. I mean, we should ask Figgy to send us some merch.
Is that Fred guy? He's back. No, jokes.
Fred guy, no, you know it's not.
Fred guy's been fudding NFTs again still, eh?
You know what? We go so much higher. I hope he continues to do that. I actually quote tweeted Jack's post last night. Let me find the tweet. Here. Yeah. I quote tweeted it because I just think, look, I get he's paid to. I also think he's not a great trader, which you kind of commented on. Bayek volume is up. Bayek. Okay, I need to stop saying that. BAYC, Greeny, BAYC volume is up 500% in the past month. Unique ownership on all Yuga asset ecosystem is increasing at the fastest rate in years. Listings stay low. Fundamentals of shipping dive deeper. Because he's literally like, look at the volume. It's complete nothing burger. Bro, you keep shilling your bloody Polymarket sponsored ads. That's fine, bro. Like, that's fine. Hey, look, I think he's a great interviewer. I think he's a fantastic interviewer. But his history in terms of trading, insider trading, information, you can't argue with that.
Yeah, I mean, we've all made, sorry, my dog's going mental. We've all made calls that have turned out wrong. But look, I've been around long enough to see where certain people came from. New people on the block may not understand. Certain people weren't traders. They were just, he's always been, Thread Guy's always been, he was a big proponent of NFTs, and so was K-Money and stuff like that. And they were given mints, so they hyped NFTs so they could flip. Farouk as well, he had Saudis. I've seen all of them do it. Let's just be transparent here, guys. You were flipping NFTs when they're hot, but you were marketing them. You weren't actually trading. You weren't checking charts.
All about their pockets.
So, look, that's fine. And I want to just say, but on the back of Greeny's comment, I think Thread Guy is an excellent interviewer, and I think he's good for the space. I just don't think he's the guy you go to pick new metas. No. If a meta's I don't think he may be. It's so hard because I don't want to insult the guy either.
I respect him as an interviewer, as a streamer. I think he's great. Yeah. I agree. But the thing is, he doesn't make money from trading. I think is what Craig's trying to reiterate here. Craig and I have to make money from trading because that's our job, right? So there's a big difference there. There's a big disconnect there because someone like him commenting like this just shows you that, that he doesn't get paid by trading, whereas we do get paid by making decisions around trading. So I think that's the perspective that you're trying to articulate, Craig. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I do. Yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, look, Phantom Wallet, if you're listening, man, reach out, guys. No hate, And anyway, they got an EVM wallet, so let's all work together, man. You don't have to shun ETH-based NFTs. Look, he'll come around, dude. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe we're wrong, Greeny. Maybe he's right. Maybe this is just a temporary 500% pump and a 2x on floors, and new people are getting in, and unique ownership's going up, and it's just a 4-week phase, or it's the start of a bottom. Look, do you know how many people can pick bottoms? Close to no one. So I'm not surprised he doesn't recognize the bottom. It may not be a bottom. We might be wrong.
I agree.
But people don't know tops and they don't know bottoms, and maybe we're picking the bottom here. I don't know. The chart looks all right, bro. I've looked at it.
But we know how to analyze when a trend is exhausted in terms of bullish trend is exhausted or a bearish trend is exhausted, and when opportunity arises one way or another. Go back and watch our shows in September last year. What did I say? Guys, I think we're very exhausted here. I'm going to fully stable up my portfolio. I'm not really looking for too much at this stage. And sure enough, 6 months later, we broke down. Similar to what I've been doing recently. It's you know what? I actually think ETH goes lower personally. I still think Bitcoin probably goes lower too, or at least retests the lows, or grab some of that liquidity at some stage. Whether we go to 90K first and then go back down, we'll have to wait and see what the charts are showing me. I mean, the charts over the last 2 days have been absolutely rubbish to trade. We'll talk about that shortly, but I think it's look, you got to remember too, not him. All streamers, most streamers, let's say. I mean, we don't really do it, but most like viral streamers farm engagement. They strategically say a comment that's against the curve so that they get more impressions, so they get more.
We're talking about it now.
Exactly. Like we like it's rare.
Well played, guy. You got me.
It's rare for us to purposely do that, but maybe we actually have to start taking the counter trend so that we go more viral, Craig, so people can watch our show. I don't know. What chat?
I just don't know if I can, man.
Yeah, we're just educators, man. I feel I'm not someone that can just like like
I can't. I'm not saying he's like. Yeah, I think taking the other side of a trade does get you more hits. You've got Jack obviously clipping like a beast that he is. He's a great clipper.
Getting millions of impressions a month. It's
so
like
I'll say this. Thread Guy and Jack play the algo the best I've just about ever seen. So you've job done. We're speaking about it now. I just think he's wrong. I might be wrong. Let's see in 3, 6, 12 months. But he did say, Thread Guy did say if it does continue, then maybe he will jump back in if it shows continued strength. So you can't argue. I can't even argue with that because if I think Bitcoin is going to pull back, which I do, and Ethereum pulls back because of said Bitcoin pulling back, these NFTs probably pull back as well. So there may be better entries and it may not be the bottom. So it's very dependent on what the big boy Bitcoin does, doesn't it? It really is. So I might be right for a moment in time. Thread Guy might be right for a moment in time. Look, I guess he's putting his balls on the line live saying it as well. So good on him for doing that maybe as well. Maybe that's enough about Thread Guy now. We're probably giving you too much airtime, brother. But maybe we're going to get Thread Guy on the show and come and smash us.
We have a clash of timing though, so he wouldn't come on our show. Yeah,
we'll see. Maybe I want him to come and smash
I'm sure he probably doesn't care about 2 Aussie creators, man.
I don't think so. I think he's doing just fine.
Yeah, it'd be cool though. I mean, I actually have never spoken to him. We follow each other, but I don't think we've ever interacted, to be honest.
No, not a lot. I've spoken to him in a few chats like that, but he's always just been very focused on his content and does a great job. So yeah, keep going, mate. Let's go to Bitcoin, eh? What are we thinking, Greeny?
Oh yeah, look, we broke down from this sort of structure though, but we're holding up here. I mean, if you go on low timeframes, it's been pretty rubbish. Like, I mean, price action over the last sort of 48 hours or like a little bit less, like over the past sort of few days, it really hasn't done much. Like it's over the last, what's that, about 30 hours? Not really much happening here. We're very much indecisive. We're very much just going sideways at this stage. Volatility is quite low. So I still think like one way or another, I think I wanted to see a greater pullback, but the more that we kind of consolidate here, the more it looks like we want to maybe push back towards some of these highs here and take them out. Sex and I obviously did an update inside GTG yesterday specifically. Wait, what? Luca hinted at an ETF. What do you mean by ETF? We'll talk about that. Anyways, Bitcoin specifically. Look, same again. I've been saying this for a while. What I want to be seeing is something like this. Okay, whether we pull back into here and do something like this, and then like that's what I would kind of want to be seeing, like to the nodes of the volume profile. Like I want to see something like this, or I want to see us come into this and then do something like that, and then we'll see what happens over here. So either way, I want to see us take this out back towards the March highs, or I want to see us come up into this region first, like with strength now, and then look for a position here. But I feel like so many people are literally waiting for this 80K region or this mid to high 80K region. So if it's a saturated trade, does it really happen? I don't know. So maybe we have to go lower first. So we'll just wait and see what happens. But it's been pretty, I mean, I had a really good start to the week, but volatility is absolutely dried off. So I actually haven't been in any trades the last sort of 30 hours or so. So just kind of waiting for one move or another to show me a little bit of volatility, because that's what I love to see. Green chain clips. What is this on X? Let's have a look. Green.
Is this to do with the Pudgy ETF, is it?
Yeah, is that to do with the Penguin Pudgy ETF?
I think Luca was recently talking about the NFTs being part of that basket. I saw a tweet up yesterday about it.
Right,
but he's been talking about that for a while.
Yeah, here we go. Let me pull
one of the things I was curious about.
Hold on. How do I get the clip? All right, here we go.
I'm just going to run to the toilet quickly, Greeny.
Oh, well, I'll wait till you get back, because then you can comment on
that. Okay. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Craig's bladder chat. Goodness me. All right, well, we'll chat about this. Let me rephrase. It's an update on the ETF positive development. Okay, well, we'll play the clip in a second. In a second. Do you think the ETF is actually bullish or bearish when you consider the performance of ETFs currently for Ethereum and Bitcoin? Love to hear your thoughts. Chat. Let me know. Do you think it's bullish or bearish that Pudgy Penguins are getting an ETF? I mean, Solana has one, XRP has one. Hype obviously had one that was shipped recently. What other XRP have one now? Yeah, XRP, Bitcoin, Solana. Like, let's have a look at this. Like, so XRP has had a total of 600 million, which is interesting. Solana has had a total of 500K. So wait. Is this in Solana or the actual token? Yeah, let's go USD. It's easy for us to understand. So XRP's had 1.2 billion inflows. Solana has had only 43. Wow. XRP community's built different, bro. Ethereum's had obviously quite a lot. 12 billion. That's quite a lot of money. 12 billion. And Bitcoin's obviously had a tremendous amount. Overall, how much? It'd be heaps. Yeah, $60 billion. Quite a lot of money when you think about it. But I don't know. I think ETF inflow outflow is it's a counter trade in my opinion. It's a counter trade. Like, look at this. Like, anytime you saw a big dip, okay, it was often into a sell, and anytime you saw the peaks of buy was into a pump. So it's actually a counter trade signal. We've spoken about that on the channel quite a lot. So I don't know, it'd be interesting. Like, assets under management continues to rise. I mean, it has pulled back obviously in the bull market, in the bear market. I mean, just quickly before we watch the clip, let's look at. Can you not look at assets under management on XRP? Damn. I wanted to. No, you can't. Can you look under Ethereum? No, you can't. That's broken. CoinGlass, up your game, bro. So you can only look at assets under management for Bitcoin specifically, which is a shame. So that would have been cool to see. Craig, Solana's only had 43 million inflows into its ETF. XRP, Greg, has had $1.2 billion into its inflow. Yeah,
that's crazy.
The community's built different.
Yeah, XRP's ravenous, man. That community is crazy.
It is crazy. Hugo says, I think a basket of NFT projects into one ETF, including generative art, would be all right. I think Bitwise has something like that, or a portfolio of that, but it's not ETF though. I agree with that take. I think that's a good take. Here's a clip. Where's the clip? Hold on. Just make sure the volume's not too loud. Let's go like about there. Let me know if it's too quiet, guys. Let me know if it's too quiet.
Ooh.
One of the things I was curious about was the Canary ETF. It was a mix of not only Pengu tokens, but also the NFTs were a basket that was going to be associated with it. Do you reckon that's going to go live this year?
Yeah, I thought it would be live already. And like the reason that made me so convicted is like filing is one thing, but when something like the CBOE picks it up, it's another. And so once the CBOE picked it up, I was like, okay, it's right in front of us. Then the market kind of nuked volumes on some of these ETFs kind of fell off and we got kind of put to the back burner. My head of strategy really leads that. His name is Vedant, and he has a pretty big development that he reached out to me about 6 weeks ago. We'll stay tuned in terms of what that looks like. But I thought it would have been out already if you were to ask me, 6 to 12 months ago. I'd been like this. Yeah, it'd be out. But I do know we have a pretty big development there, a big update there that Vedant wants to share sooner rather than later.
Bear market things, but yeah, pretty big development. Interesting. Yeah, is that bullish? Like, it gets more people into it. Like, does it? Like, I just don't understand how it works. Like, if there's inflow into an ETF that has a meme coin and NFTs, do they purchase the NFTs at a certain point? Like, how does it work? Like, when they reach a certain, or do they acquire them? Before,
when they reach a certain market cap, do they go and purchase more of said asset?
Like, how does it ebb and flow with the amount of assets that they have under control? Like, that's.
And does it mean if the price drops if these ETF outflow, do they have to start selling assets, e.g. the NFTs?
Yeah.
I'm confused on
the sell pressure. Yeah.
Like what? Because I know people always look at the buy pressure, but as we've seen with ETFs, e.g. Bitcoin, the sell pressure from ETFs is substantial as well because they outflow hard, just like retail do. So
Right into dumps, yeah.
I mean, I like the fact, I suppose, we're talking. Oh, so money comes in, they buy, money goes out, they sell.
It's as simple as that.
So bear market is still can hurt an ETF.
Well, like you look at this, Craig, you look at this, like Bitcoin Bitcoin assets under management. Like you look here at the peak in October last year, there was $165 billion from ETFs in Bitcoin. Now it's back to 100 billion, but it did dip down to 87. So that's like $80 billion gone out of the market. So like, yeah, there's sell pressure. And I mean, if you do like, look at this, like like we speak about this often, the biggest flows are when the dumps are happening and the biggest inflows are when the pumps are happening. So it's a counter signal, so then do you counter trade the pudgies and the Pengu? Like, I want to talk about that too. Actually, let me find the tweet from Trippy. I shared it in GTG. I want to talk about this because I don't think anyone else is talking about this. Where is it? Here. Is it this one? Yeah, here we go. And then we'll read those comments as well. Yeah, it would be like an index fund. Yeah, 85% Pengu, 15% NFT. What are your thoughts here about this? I shared it in GTG. So Captain Tripty, one of the most well-known exactly. Like these are the sort of people that Craig and I are both fighting now for presence in terms of the ape PFPs. After dealing with ape coin the last 4 years, good luck with constant unlocks and dumping on you. Thankfully, ape is through that. Unfortunately, we are down 99%. We've obviously shown the ape chart previously. We can pull it up again. Good luck, Pengu holders. Should be a fun few years. As much as this is tongue-in-cheek, as much as this is a slap in the face, because this comes into the thesis of why I bought an ape and why I'm looking at that ecosystem compared to, and why I maybe pivoted a little bit away from other collections at this stage. Again, NFTs, again, we've spoken about this at length, but apes are the face of NFTs as well. That's another thesis, the thesis with Figgy as well. There's a range. There's always decisions about why I make a decision, and same as you, a trade, right? What are your genuine thoughts here? Now, to add a further point to this, the team, there's only like 10% have been unlocked. So it has a lot of unlocks to go. And their evaluation is 0, Craig. I'm fairly sure it's 0, which means any team, any investor, any like person that has exposure that is getting unlocks has immediate profit because their entry was 0, is my understanding of Pengu specifically. You add that element in to the sell pressure that we've observed, and it's so obvious in crypto. Like you look at all tokens that have vesting. Look at AVAX. Like that's a great example of a token that's had, and SUI. Like you look at, like they've had sell pressure continuously because of the unlocks. For years, exactly right. Is this a serious threat to Pengu as a token? And I'm not talking about Pudgy as a NFT. That's a separate conversation. I think that's why if I was always juggling either one, after reading more about it, after thinking more about it, like I would actively trade Pengu, but I would probably be happy to buy and hold a Pudgy. It's a kind of a different trade there. But what are your thoughts here, Craig? And particularly, like I just feel like there's so many moving parts. Like you've got the ETF now, you've got Luca talking about an Igloo IPO. Like it's like, but then like the sell pressure of the Pengu token, you've then got the ETF. Like what happens if the ETF goes live and then that, like if we go into a further prolonged bear period, maybe we don't. But like that's more sell pressure, right? Like, I don't know. What's your thoughts around this? Because I think this is a serious conversation that not many people are probably having, and I think we should talk about.
Yeah, that's a big question. Specifically about the Pengu token, just scroll down slightly. I know this was talking about how that recent rally was on the back of the tokens being unlocked. So I guess what this person's kind of alluding to is perhaps someone or something pumped the token in, which is kind of different to what I thought would happen. I thought the unlock would happen and would dump, but they're suggesting that market makers, someone big, pumped it to then extract more. Is that what they're getting out of it when the unlock came?
That's, I think, what the message is, yeah.
On-chain data showed new unlock tokens were rapidly dispersed across multiple wallets, a pattern analysis. So preparing to sell into rising liquidity.
Yeah.
Whoa, yeah.
it's an interesting one.
It's like, let me put it this way: if that is the case, it would feel like I've seen this movie before, and it wouldn't be unusual for that to be happening. Is only 10% unlocked? Is that true?
Yeah, no. It has increased now. Hold on, let me pull it up. It has increased. 25% has been unlocked. 25% has been unlocked. So
25% to go.
And there's still 961 days left of this sell pressure.
So 3.5 years left.
Yeah, three years. Yeah. Company has 88 million. Team has 140 million. FTT. What? That's not bloody FTX's. No, surely that's not. Value lock Pudgy community. Community is fully out. So 0.79%. Craig, so every single month is sorry, there's a period. No, it's a period. So May 17th, there's basically, let's just go with 0.8% of a total unlock. June 17th, there's total unlock of 8.8%.
This year, every month.
July, there's another 1.12% of the market cap. August, there's 1.1%. September, there's one. October, there's one. November, there's one. December, there's one. There's Jan, Feb. So every month, Craig, there is an unlock of at least
close to 1%.
1% of the token. That is a lot. That's a lot of pressure.
I guess just looking at that data, I'd want to bag it out, but then looking at the price pump into that unlock makes me go, well, at least with the unlock, they pumped the price.
Yeah.
So I almost can't criticize.
Can they do that every month, though?
How did that? What's happening? Hey, I'm actually really confused.
No. When you listen to Luca speak, he was on Kane's show the other day. I saw a clip. You know what? I'll try and find it. Hold on. When you listen to him speak about what Pump Fund should have done.
Yeah, just bite the bullet, he said.
Yeah, launch.
Yeah, I agree.
Let me see if I can find the clip. I don't know what Kane's buddy show is called. Oh my god. Dude, how do you search things on Twitter, man? It's so hard.
It's a pain. I can't even search up my own tweets sometimes, man.
Okay, I don't even know what Kane's buddy name is on Twitter.
I'm not sure. Infinex Kane?
Yeah. Yeah, if I go to I don't know, bro. Anyway, there was a clip basically of him saying how Pump Fund should have done it, because what they are doing is not probably the right decision with the token. So basically the clip was put an airdrop out, help everyone out, get the money out, completely seal this, get the sell pressure, but then use the revenue. Whether and the big question around the whole Pump Fund thing is there revenue actually legit? Like, are these numbers actually legit? We don't know. But the point was being is let it dump 95% and then use the revenue as a buyback, because then you can control like 95% of the token supply at the bottom.
Yeah. I agree with that when you said
it. For them, that's what they should have done. That's what they should have done with Pump Fund.
Yeah, I mean, I guess regardless of everything they're doing, it's been great to see this token pump. It's been good to see. Great for holders. Holders got pretty bullish on it. I know when I sold the little bag I had recently off Abstract, my Pingu bag, and bought a mutant, a few people tagged me on the pump, and I was like, "You motherfuckers!" It was pretty funny though. You're almost damned if you do and damned if you don't in the space sometimes. But no, even though I don't hold any at the moment, I'm still happy to see it pump. And to be honest, I don't want people to think we're giving these guys a particularly hard time. Although in saying that, there's still a lot of work to do on that chart, bro. And I think I'm gonna have time to re-enter that. Like, I think. Would I? Yeah, I think I will run this up in the bull, bro. I think this coin could go right. I think this and Rec could be good buys.
Not financial advice.
Yeah, not financial advice for me personally in my situation. So I am still bullish on this. But that 1% unlock a month. Okay, it's not 1%. It's 0.79. But just for argument's sake, let me say 1%.
It's a lot.
It is a lot, man.
And if you sustain enough momentum on the buy side of liquidity, every single month. In a bull market, yes. In a transition period or a bear corrective period, tough.
Tough. I will say though, if anyone can do it, I back Luca.
I mean, these guys are the most well-connected people worldwide.
Yeah. So even though it sounds like we're giving these guys a bit of a hard time, I still very much back Luca.
Yeah.
I think he's a giga brain. I just think we're in that time in the market now where things are tough and there's more questions than answers. So it creates, if there's lots of questions, it creates uncertainty. And where there's uncertainty, price tends to suffer. That's what I like. And that's why I shifted my focus from Pudgy to Yuga, because Yuga started just putting out so much clarity. And I like, as a trader, the more clarity you can give me, the more secure I feel my purchase, and I'll spend 25,000 US because I've got if I know most, I don't need to know all. Actually, I'd like to know all the info, but if I don't know all the info, I'm never going to know all of it, right? I'm never going to know what's going on behind closed doors. But when I make a trade, I really have a thirst for information. And I just felt like, especially with the abstract stuff, there's been such a lack of comms that it damaged my trust, put it that way. And that's just being human. My trust has been damaged. Now, that's not me creating uncertainty and doubt. There was uncertainty, and my reaction to that was distrust, because I'm human, right? This can all be fixed by communication. That's the beautiful thing about communication. It can fix everything.
You know, abstract's going to, or in trouble if Eli has stepped away from it being his primary goal.
Yeah.
That tells you everything you need to know. And he's obviously... Yeah.
I just wonder if abstract's just created... What I didn't like about Pudgy is the weight abstract was putting on its back, which is the opposite to what I thought a year ago. You and me were there almost probably 18 months ago now.
Well, yeah, we started in like February, January last year.
February's when I got in.
What do you mean by weight on back? Give us a little bit more clarity.
What I mean by that is, I don't so much think the uncertainty so much for me comes from the Pengu ecosystem or Igloo. It comes from abstract. And my main reason to buy my big Pudgy was abstract. I missed the airdrop. So I entered what I thought was the bottom.
Pengu airdrop. There you go.
The Pengu airdrop. I got in for abstract. Now they're saying, don't know when it launches. And I'm like, well, guys, I've been in 18 months, man. Like, yeah, that's a long time in crypto for me. And I'm not saying, and if there was more comms for the team, if there was more clearer communication, I possibly would have held.
Can I add some points to that? Like building on what kind of Eli's been talking about specifically with it as well is if there was more money in the ecosystem of abstract, I think we would have had far more like clarity. We would have had far more communications. I think there's just been a disconnect because they haven't had enough runway. The team obviously had a bit divided. The collections and the projects and the companies are kind of leaving. Some are coming.
And then Zeke left. Like, what does that tell me as a holder?
Yeah, they hyped up Amigo, which I knew was never. I'm sorry. I'll be bland here. I knew Amigo was never. It was like a fifth iteration of Friend, right? And where are they? Are they all successful? No, of course.
I haven't even heard about it on the timeline, bro.
And Amigo was pushed really hard. But again, you looked at the metrics of it, and the bonding curve on it was horrendous, and it was so expensive. Someone went and swept like 200 keys of lucre, and it barely pushed his price up. So it was like, okay, well, that's obviously going to fail on a low
buy and sell tax for people that don't understand. Yeah,
and on an already low liquidity ecosystem.
Yeah,
that was a big point. So like, no surprise to see that but it was a shame to see them push that really hard and not Zeet. Whether that was a decision by Zeet specifically or whether that was just an internal abstract decision. They're like, well, hold on.
That surprised me, by the way, that move.
Yeah.
It surprised me. Someone shared the Kane video.
Thank you so much. I couldn't find the clip. Thank you so much. Let me pull it up.
Yeah. And so I guess things like that, like, okay, you say there's lack of communication from the team. Okay, that's one thing. So I see that as a holder. And then I see projects leaving. Now, projects have the privilege of knowing what's going on behind closed doors, and they left.
Yeah.
So I've got uncertainty without knowing what's going on behind closed doors, and then behind closed doors, teams aren't happy and leaving. Teams leaving says a lot to me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and I hate saying that, dude, because I got rinsed on abstract to a certain degree. So I really want it to do well, because I'm hoping that when I get my stimmy, it recovers the losses I made.
When do you think they should launch a TG?
Probably Q4 this year.
You think they should do it ASAP? Why?
Because I think you would be launching at a time when people would start to get optimistic again. We maybe found a bottom and we're starting to head up, and people's exuberance and optimism returns on a trading chart. I think we'll start to perhaps hit an optimism moment where that's all crypto really needs is optimism in a half decent narrative and a consent. That's all it needs. Doesn't even need fundamentals. I'm not saying Q4 is when the bottom hits. That's just a guesstimate. It could be Q3, Q4, Q1, 27. And I understand why they didn't launch. I know a few people say to me, "Oh, Craig, as if they should launch now would be stupid." I agree. They missed the boat.
But okay, bold take. Is it better to launch with a lower valuation in the middle of a bear market than trying to do what OpenSea and everyone else is trying to do and wait for better market conditions to either extract more or for your FTV to be higher? Do you think it would be better if they did the opposite of every other token launch and just went, you know what? We're going to launch a token. It's going to be only $20 million. If you believe in us, it's launched now, the TG, the XP ecosystem. I mean, they could gamify the shit out of this. Like, they could launch at such a lower valuation. They could then that raise could be plowed back into the token or back into the ecosystem. And over time, that trend, like the liquidity going through the tree of obviously the ecosystem, the different paths, whatever, could be then translated back to the users of the chain. And then the XP continues to grow. And at certain, it could be random. Okay. The best things are always random rather than necessarily sort of communicated in time. But they could go, okay, well, hey, 3 months in, okay, we're unlocking another, or we're about to plow X amount of this into the token and reward the holders, or blah. Like, you could gamify it so much. I actually think it would be, I know they need to be the VC, but I mean, they only raised 11 million for Abstract. I'm pretty sure is the number. So obviously the revenue hasn't been enough to get there, but I know exactly right. Users do come last. Hence why they haven't given any communication about the XP eco, the scores and the clarity of the TG and all of that. I don't know. It's an interesting.
I mean, they say no news is good news, but in crypto, no news is bad news, I reckon.
Yeah, if there's no like timeline, like we're not waiting for something after a certain time, then I would agree.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you though. I think they can easily turn this round. So I'm optimistic. Let's put it this way: the trader in me, if they launch the token at a low market cap, I will probably enter, dude. Maybe not on launch, because people will probably sell off who perhaps got a TGE claim like myself. But I'd wait for that dump, and then I'd buy, bro. I reckon it could send if it launches on a low FTV. But oh man, I'm looking forward to watching what they do, and I hope my head drops all right. Maybe I'm burnt. Maybe I'm washed on Abstract. Who knows? But I try not to be too negative, because I try and. But you've got to ask these questions. You know, someone's got to ask the hard questions. That's you and me. If we cop bullets for that, figuratively, not real, please, guys, just relax. It's Web3, guys. You know, we're not hurting babies and dogs here. So we're just asking the tough questions that I think the team needs to answer. This show's sponsored by the Australian Banana Company. It sure is.
Dude, I was like, hold on, I haven't eaten yet. I'm a little bit peckish. I need to eat that, because you know how coffee can like just make you get the jitters a little bit.
I got it before, but on the stream I had a coffee and I was like, shit. And because our stream was earlier, I didn't get a good breakfast under my belt today, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right, we'll play the clip. Here it is.
The difference, though, between us and them is we had already given 50% of the supply to people, right? So we were already like this people's coin. This idea that, you know, the airdrop, if done right, and I thought we did it right at Pudgy, at least for the time, because everyone and their mom was like, dude, 50% liquid float, you are mad, right? In a world where floats were, 3, 4, 5% of the fully diluted value, it was actually a very contrarian bet. And if you look at it, right, post that announcement, when we talked about the distribution, we went from getting a couple million views a post to like 10, 15. I mean, I don't know if anybody remembers, but like for 2 weeks, I was clocking like 15, 20 million views a post. It was madness. And that actually was able to kind of wash out the sell pressure on the size of the airdrop because there was so much volume, so much buying and selling. Their issue is that they never airdrop. They had, I think he deleted the tweets, but I'm like 99.9% certain he had mentioned that he was going to airdrop.
Yeah,
they never did it. And rather than, fulfilling on that promise and that expectation, you kind of create like this new idea that you're like aligning, but you still haven't fulfilled the first promise. So that's where it fell short. How I would I'm actually a component that like airdrops done right can be like hugely beneficial. And that's why I took, put the money where my mouth is in terms of that statement and like actioning on huge distribution and that being beneficial. Their whole strategy though, Kane, and I know you appreciate this as somebody who's like stared at tokens and tokenomics, it actually functionally makes no sense how they got here. And I have no reason to believe that these guys aren't incredibly bright. I mean, they invented the bonding curve. They are not like stupid operators, but like the emotional quotient is not in that room. Because if you actually just think about it logically, they're in a position that pretty much almost nobody else is, where the flywheel and the monies that they make are so insane that if I was them, I would literally give the biggest airdrop the world has ever seen, and I would pray it drew down 95%. Because in the case where they are not capital constrained, they can then basically buy the entire token. And if they would have done this from day one, they would have drawn down 95%. They would then own the entire float. This thing would be vertical up only, and it would be the biggest champion the space has ever seen. Instead, somehow, some way, they decided to redact the airdrop somehow, some way, and not give it to the community. Half of them anytime they get a chance to grave dance on the guy, they try to do it. And now he's like perpetually fighting not only the market sentiment, but the internal community sentiment.
His own users, right? Yeah.
And he has a perpetual float problem that
so, I mean, it's down 80% anyway, right? Like from the highs. What's your take on that clip, Craig?
Yeah, no, I remember that clip when it first came out, and I completely agree. I completely agree. They've got a revenue generating model. They could have done the biggest airdrop, would have got so much hype from the community and from people like you and me would have been like, holy crap, who are these guys? Let it pull back when everyone sells, let it pull back 95% and then use all the revenue they have, which is their war chest is humongous and it continues to generate money. So it doesn't stop. It's not like an NFT company that has a mint and then after the mint, if there's no royalties, they have no money coming in. These guys have a money printer, effectively, probably the best one in the space, that we've seen so far. They could have bought up all the supply, put market makers in, and it just would have gone zit, and people like you and me would have been buying the coin, going, get into this, it's sending. And I agree with the SP. I'm not big on betting against Luca. I think he's a very smart dude. And once again, I just want to give my thanks for Luca for giving me an airdrop for Pengu when I wasn't even in the ecosystem. And I know that's one of the gripes he has with the space, is people tend to be unappreciative here. I was very appreciative of what he did for me, giving me about $5,000. Super stoked. Best airdrop I've seen, where I got thousands of dollars for just holding other things and trading and stuff. So very thankful for Luca. And I don't want that criticism that we have to come across as not being grateful. Certainly not. But you can be grateful and still have questions. You don't have to just, because he gave you money, I don't have to be like, I won't ask. I kind of feel that's our job as well, is to ask these sorts of questions, really. Your questions no one else. Sometimes people are shy to put their hand up in class and ask the hard question. Yeah. I think our job's to be that guy that's like, oh, excuse me, sir or ma'am, I've got one more question. It's the awkward one. Because everyone else in the room probably wants to know what the fuck is going on. Come on, Luca, let's get abstract fucking pumping, man. Bring Eli back to life. Get some air into that balloon and let's see the big fella come back on stream. Is he streaming anymore?
Yeah, he's streaming, but he's pushing Twitch now, which is good. I like that. I like that for him. He needs to. Yeah, I agree. Hey, if you are watching on Twitch, hey, give us a follow, guys. Hey, we're trying. I mean, I got one viewer on Greeny Trades on Twitch. Thanks, guys, and two on Kick. Let's go. Hey, we're proliferating multiple chains, guys. That'll probably do it for today. We've obviously been up live for 2 hours and 20 minutes. So another super huge show. Massive shout out to Insight. Massive shout out to the Chimpers. Craig, obviously we'll be back I'll be doing our Monday show. It is a public holiday.
What holiday is it?
It's the Labor Day weekend.
I'm easy. I don't mind doing it. We could have it off. If your wife's got it off, then you might want to spend time with her.
Yeah, I'll have a chat to the wife and we'll chat.
Yeah, have a think. You want to look after the fam as well a little bit.
Robert, great question with Blowfin. What do you guys do is the best way to get AUD funds into your account? Legend, I would personally always use I use SwiftX or I would use OKX or SwiftX personally, or CoinSpot works obviously if that's
all three of those are pretty solid, huh?
And just transfer on chain. That's the way to do it. Just send. I usually do Binance Smart Chain is usually the cheapest and the fastest for me. It's like the cheapest fee. It's like 0.5 to send X amount of money. So I like that. SP's joining GTG soon. Let's go. I think I sent you. Did I send you the link? I'll send it to you again in chat. But here we go. Great to see. Hey, we'll get you on the show, Legend. We'll get you. I mean, not on the show. We'll get you in the group. Make sure I use Craigie Boy's little. Hey, they got rid of my notes. Where'd all my notes go? All right, I have to find the Craig's little affiliate link because you're part of that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I just want to say, Greeny, as well. Thanks to all the people that tuned into the actual Market Mates account today.
Yes.
A lot of people tuned into the actual Market Mates on X. So obviously, Greeny and I, we've got our own personal brands. We've built those up over the last sort of 5 years. But we are trying to grow the Market Mates accounts. If you guys can give that a follow, one thing it does is it certainly helps us grow. It helps us get better guests on. You know, if you reach out to a guest and they go, "Oh, who the F are Market Mates?" Unfortunately, we live in the world where the more followers you have, the more likely you are to get that guest on. So it helps us get greater guests. And sometimes guests can bring things to give away. It also brings partners for Greeny and I. You know, we've got to keep the lights on here. We do this. We do it for free. We literally do it for free. We do it for free. At the moment. I mean, look at Greeny. He hasn't even got shelves up anymore. He's had to sell all his plushies.
It's so true.
I've got a mortgage to pay. Greeny's got a mortgage. So, you know, we are on the lookout for some great partners as well. So if anyone knows any fantastic partners out there, they want a long-term thing, Greeny, not a short wham bam, thank you, man. We certainly and partners that can give back to the community as well, not just for us, but that can actually provide value to the viewers. Certainly let us know who those guys might be or girls, them. Have a great weekend, guys. I just want to say thanks for all the support, man. We've seen some really nice viewers over the last sort of 3 weeks. So probably a massive shout out to the NFT communities and apes, probably specifically there, Pudgies as well, and also to Chimpers who recently jumped on in our show or Insight today. So big stream, loved it. 2.5 hours, Greeny. This is bull market stuff, man.
This is bull market stuff, but hey, that's what we're doing in the middle of a bear market. So make sure you do click follow. If you are watching, obviously, on Market Mates, please, or watching our personal channels, as Craig said, please go to Market Mates, click subscribe. It does help us grow as well. And obviously, if you're listening back to the replay, we really hope you have appreciated the content that we've been bringing you. And please, obviously, go give us a little 5-star rating. It does go a long way on the podcast platforms. Please, obviously, if you download it, please go back and it literally takes you 10 seconds to just do that. It does really help us grow on those platforms too. But as always, if you are watching us or you don't have the time to watch us, literally go to any of your podcast platforms and you can listen back to the show, or you can head to YouTube and watch the full replay at Market Mates, guys. Craig, have a lovely weekend, mate. And we'll announce obviously on our Market Mates page whether we're going live on Sunday nights as we normally would. I'll let you know. I am traveling. I got a wedding this weekend, so it might be. I don't know. I'll probably say we lean towards maybe no show on Monday, but we'll wait and see. But we also have Betty on next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So Betty is obviously the one of the co-founders of Deadfellas. We've had her on the show, I'm going to say probably nearly a year ago. So it would be great to have her on again and chat all things Deadfellas, all things NFTs. So guys, if there's a particular person you want to see us on the show, let us know in the comments as well. Let us know in the chat or send us a DM privately. And we can obviously let you guys know whether we can get that person on. Depends on their schedule, depends on the time zone, all those sorts of things. But we'll try our best. We're trying our best to get as well connected as possible. Craig, mate, have a lovely weekend with your family. Enjoy the long weekend that you didn't even know that you had. And we'll be back live again early next week, guys. Thanks to everyone who was chatting as well. Rara, good to see you right at the end, Ledger. But thanks to SP, thanks to Robert as well. Thanks to Hugo. Thanks to everyone in the chat, guys. We very much appreciate you as always. And we hope you and Nick as well. And so many people. There's so many people. Brad, I mean, I can't thank you all. Like I'm scrolling for ages here. Simone as well. Massive shout out to everyone. So as always, enjoy your weekends, and we'll be back live next week. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.